Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Death's Curios, and welcome to another week of our strange and horrifying show. Welcome back to those who have watched this before, and welcome again to those who are here for the first time. So, before we begin the game, we start with a very interesting little pre-show game that we play, which is known as the Death's Deal. And what this is each week we reveal a little bit more of a story for you, and you get to make decisions on what our main character does and what fate is in store for them at the very end of this show. And this will affect the main game as well at some point, so keep an eye on that. So today we'll start with this once again. When last we saw our lost and lonely soul, they were enjoying a quiet night in their now empty manor home in Upper London. Having lost their family to a plague years before, they wander there pristine and just as it was when they were alive. As the night grew late, you wandered across a room, one that reminded you of better times, a painting of a family once happy hanging upon the wall. You heard noises coming from within though, quiet and restrained behind the door. And you decided to leave the place and to enjoy your night in another way and to ignore it once more. You wandered through the halls until you came across your study, where you while away your hours. You read on matters of state, history, and drama, whatever you can get your hands on to distract you from what you heard back there, until the dark hours drag longer and longer and seem to never end. Eventually, you hear a scratching at your door, loud but slow, deliberate, like a very dedicated and driven rat scratching rhythmically at your study door. And so I'll pass this decision on to you. Do you finally investigate what caused the sound and what scratches upon your study door? Or do you continue to hide away from the noises within your study and deny their existence once again? In just a moment, I'm going to open up a poll where you can vote and decide on the fate of this poor lost soul. So, that should now be beginning. So I'll leave that decision with you, whilst we go to a little message before the show about our sponsors, and then we'll move on to our main cast and begin the show in full. So until then, we'll begin this new chapter, which is known as the Keeper of the Curios. Goodbye for now.
Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com.
Wilson Godfrey.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Death's Curios. So, before we begin, we do have one more thing to mention, however, which is the brilliant Cascadia. So, Cascadia make game coasters that hold your dice, and they look absolutely amazing. They're all made out of wood, and they just look really cool. They're really nice and portable as well, and you can go and check them out at CascadiaGamingSupply.com. I'll also post a thing in the chat in a second, so you can go and check that out. But whilst I go and sort that for all of you, how about we go around and each of you can introduce yourselves and your character, and then we'll begin with a recap. So we'll go just to the side of me here, or this way even, because I'm mirrored, and we'll go with Delilah Berkeley. Do you want to introduce yourself for us, please?
All right. Well then, hello everyone. I am Lark Lori on Twitter, and I'm playing Delilah Berkeley, the noble's wife, who's known for her singing, her beauty, and her eccentricity. recently she's been seen wearing quite dark clothes and, well, no one knows quite why.
You're muted if you're
I
trying
am
to talk.
indeed. I was typing things. So, moving swiftly on to Magdalena Deville.
Yes, that is me. Hi, I'm Lindy, and
That's
I'll be
you.
playing Magdalena Deville. She is an artist, and a very eccentric, slightly socially, maybe behind the times a bit artist, but that's because she's like a 450-year-old Dampier, half vampire hunter. You know, it happens. But she's just met some new people. She has a chicken boy now, and she's very excited to play today.
Brilliant. And we'll come to you last, Miss Fairchild, as you'll need a bigger introduction as you weren't here previously, but we'll move on to Dr. Verrucht. Welcome back.
I'm Greybeard, and I'll be playing Dr. Verrucht tonight. And he's a scientist, medical doctor, specializes in psychology, medicine, galvanics, and even dabbles in a little hypnosis and parapsychology. So, yeah.
You could definitely say he's a man of many trades, that's for sure, when he's got so many studies as he does, and brilliant. So, Tilly Griffiths.
Hello, so I'm Humbledore. I will be playing Tilly Griffiths, the ace detective. She's very interested and very intrigued by all her new colleagues, and is doing her best to find out as much as she can about all of them.
Brilliant. And last but not least, our very new character that wasn't here, sadly, last week, Miss Fairchild. Could you tell us a little bit more about your character, given we haven't yet encountered them in this show? Tell us who you are, a bit about you.
Miss Fairchild is a mourner of good standing, largely contracted out to the Earl of Pembroke, but who is strange in her profession because she works for anyone who has the ability to pay her in whatever means they can. And that means the upper classes, the lower classes, and occasionally the criminal element. She's very proper and prim and fastidious, very focused on etiquette and mainly being left alone. She lives a very solitary life, and to all outward appearances, she likes it that way.
Of course. And before we begin, as I had everybody introduce this last session, what is your corruption, Miss Fairchild?
Miss Fairchild has a singular obsession with food. She is simply ravenous. Possibly growing up in poverty left her feeling like she always needs to know where the food is coming from and that she has enough. But it is something that enters her dreams. It is something that she always has at least one thought on, and keeps food with her at all times, and gets very anxious if other people are eating and she's not. So I took the ravenous corruption. It should be very fun.
That should indeed be fun. And so, just to give you all an idea, for those of you tuning in again, what corruption is something that everybody in this game has, and it is something that is inherently flawed and will grow. It's something that eats away at them in this game. There are 5 levels of it, and they all start at 1, unless you're Magdalena, and then you have 2 that start at 1, because it's a very corrupted individual. And it's always a balance between making sure it doesn't go too far or you lose yourself to your corruptions. So, thank you, Miss Fairchild, for introducing yourself. And we'll recap last session. So last session, our individual members of this group made their way towards Magdalena Deville's manor, each being summoned by a letter that was sent to them by a strange urchin child or an individual that passed it on to them casually. Each of them attended the manor of the Dampier, the half-vampire Magdalena, who is known as an eccentric painter and a strange individual who stays in a run-down manor in the lower city of London. And as they all eventually made their way there for a strange letter with a summons that merely had the letters of LG at the end of them signing it, they met with the strange Magdalena, who had recently adopted Chicken Boy, a urchin who had meant to deliver the letter, but instead looked after the chickens in her garden, and has seemingly managed to get them not only life, but to thrive out here, which is strange for this particular setting, being post-apocalyptic as it is. They all arrived at the strange painter's house and began to get acquainted with each other until the strange individual by the name of Mr Gremore came in and offered them each a deal. He offered them a reward of which they could name, which, as long as they were sensible, could be delivered to them after a job was done. He hired each to be under his employ as freelancers, so to speak, and partake in a few jobs that he has in mind that he needs dealing with. The first of which was to attend an opening to a museum of the Curious and Occult that is opening in Upper London in the West End. The proprietor of such is said to be in some sort of trouble, and Lucifer asked them all to attend to the event and to see what they could do about alleviating his troubles, and do whatever they could to help this individual. And as each of you agreed, signed, and either set your price, or of course delayed it for another time, you began to make your way back home. And for most of you, it's an uneventful night. Magdalena, you went to see your love, and you met Lord Archibald for a while, where you spent some nice time with them and drank some fine blood, and had a lovely evening. Dr. Verrucht, you got home tired and in need of sleep, and managed to get a good rest that evening. Tilly, you got to the top of your stairs before one of your quirks, narcolepsy, unfortunately overtook you, and you tumbled backwards and down the stairs. And Delilah, you were met with a strange but familiar feeling for yourself, and that thing which taught you, that thing which haunts you, was allowed to see you. And so you spent your evening singing for it, afraid of what it would do if you stopped. And that is where we'll pick up. So we'll go around, as each of you have a whole day ahead of you before the museum event. And let me know what it is that you do in your day, how you spend it, what you wish to achieve, and anything else that you wish to tell me. And we'll go around the opposite order this time, and we'll start with, right below me, Dr. Verrucht. How do you spend your day and what do you do before, of course, the fateful meeting at the museum? Seems you're muted. Dr. Verrucht decides to be silent.
Trying to be polite. So mostly he would spend it in, he has a private viewing theater for corpses, and I imagine he spends his day poking at brains and powering strange devices to prod at those brains. Unless there's people who he actually need his services.
So on that day when you're actually quite lucky and you don't have any customers that day, you are left to your own devices, literally in this case, with yourself. As you manage to, of course, do your work, you do your experiments, you operate on things, you try and get the brains to act correctly. And could you give me a very quick medicine check, please?
Sure. And...
brilliant stuff.
19.
So with your 19, you begin to have some activity. It seems your measuring equipment seems to be saying that some of the synapses are actually firing off more, and you seem to be bringing life back to the brain. You begin to see some signs of activity. You begin to see some sort of register of some life within it, but it starts to ebb away slowly. Though slower than any other time, and this time the brain does not explode, which is a big positive. Big step forward for you.
Herbert, more power! We
Of
need
course,
more power!
he says from downstairs, and you hear he begins to sort of roll the machine that he's currently winding up harder, and you begin to have more power jolt through. And could you give me a galvanics check, please?
Excellent. the modifier box is really finicky.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Woohoo! 15.
Okay, on a 15, you begin to wind up the box, and as you do, and you see that some of the wiring is slightly loose, and you begin to see it jolt, but you manage to fix it in time and clench them together again. You pin them back in place, and you wait. And as you do, the brain's activity begins to get more consistent. It begins to show more signs of some sort of modicum of life within it. And this continues for a while until you see it begin to smoke.
Hey, and I pull the probes out, make sure they don't touch, and find some rubber place to put them. And then I grab my box camera real quickly and take a picture of the smoking brain, just to see like this was the end result. And then as you see him working the plate in the various chemicals, he turns and there's a wall and there's just thousands of pictures of brains and such, and he puts this one on the wall next to the rest, and goes back to probably the next corpse over.
So that's what you continue to do for that day. You continue to work and work and work, and you don't manage to replicate that same effect again, but it spends all of your day doing that. So, Tilly, in the morning, you would wake up in bed. You have been tucked in. You have a feeling of aching at the back of your head. It seems you bumped your head when you fell the previous night. But aside from that, you feel fine. But you are tucked in quite nicely. And there is a hot cup of tea on the side that's still lightly steaming.
I will, I'll gently tap the edge of the cup. How, can I tell from the heat of it how long it's been sat there? Like
Sure,
how many minutes?
Give me a forensic science check, please.
Sure.
Wish I could say it's the first time I've had a forensic science check on that.
Just a 9.
You can't quite tell, but it does burn when you touch it. Seems very recent.
I'll take stock of if I can smell anything new, as in anyone or anything new that's not usually in my room. Trying to detect if I recognize a scent.
Sure, could you give me a very quick wit check, please? And it will be perception,
Sure.
so you can have your
That's
bonus
great.
for that.
That's great, because that's a +7. 13.
Okay. You try and determine what it is, but the scent of tea and the scent of what seems to be food, bread, perhaps toasted, you can smell what smells like jam of some sort of strawberry jam. That's sort of messing with the rest of your sense, so to speak.
Hello?
No answer comes. But the birds aren't singing as usual, as they would be dead. They're slowed down. But you do hear the sort of kerfuffle outside as people are generally going about their day, mowing sort of the carts around that they've got, shouting at each other across the road. And you do also hear the rattling of your letterbox as well.
Of my what, sorry?
Of your letterbox downstairs.
Oh. I swing myself out of bed, gently put my feet on the floor and test to see how woozy I'm feeling.
All right, no problem. So you don't feel too woozy. You feel okay, but you do think you could do with some sugar, something to kind of perk you up. Your energy is quite low after you took your fall yesterday, and it seems that you're, pretty ready to have something to eat or drink before you move on with your day.
Okay, yeah, she'll gingerly get up and just, before eating or doing anything, she'll just have a walk around her little apartment to see if anyone's there.
Okay.
And if there's nobody there, she'll just eat the presumably toast and jam.
So as you kind of look towards the box, you do see it open, and you see a paper being pushed through. It seems to be your regular paper boy that comes around all the time.
Okay. Hello.
So the voice from the other side of the wall comes through quite quickly, and it's a voice you recognize very well as you hear, oh, all right, Miss Tilly, says the paper boy from the other side of the door. Is everything all right? You sound a bit worried. It's just me, John. I'm here to deliver the paper.
John.
That's what I do. You know, I'm John the Paper Boy. That's what they call me around here. Can I deliver papers? My name's John.
Did you see anyone leave my house recently, John? Say within the last few minutes.
I mean, I think so. Not last few minutes, though, like maybe 5 ago.
Yes, well, that's a few minutes.
Well, no, I've used like 3 in it. It's like, you've got to be specific, Miss Tilly. Time's very important to us paper boys.
I see. Well, how about, and she, through the letterbox, she just puts a penny out. Who did you see? John?
Well, don't quite remember him. Fancy looking?
Fancy looking.
Yeah.
Tall, dark, quite severe features. Well dressed.
Don't know, really. I can't really remember it much. I was too busy delivering papers, miss, but something like that, I think. Anyway, I've got to get off, Miss Tilly. I've got to deliver more papers. If I'm late, it's bad.
And she slots the penny through. For your time.
Thank you.
As it's valuable.
Yeah, he kind of takes it through the letterbox and continues on with his day. But after that, how do you spend the rest of your day?
I pen a letter to my tutor, and I will go to the library.
Okay, and what is it you're looking up particularly in the library today?
I'm looking up public records of the museum, the history of the land of it, any crimes that have been committed on it, and if anything, any construction or floor plans of the current build.
Okay, and is that for the museum currently?
Yes, that is for the museum.
Okay, cool. No problem. Yeah, sure. So if you could just give me a very quick intelligence check, please.
Of course. Intelligence. Yes. 19.
All right, on a 19. So you begin to look through things, and as you sort of peek through the papers, you look through some older sort of writs and the like. It seems that the building was once an archive for the city back in the days before, of course, the plague. But it seems that in the reclamation, the place was burned down and the documents were never recovered. Since then, it has basically been a smouldering wreck. Since they built it up again, however, they began to reconstruct it recently. They did build a blank building beforehand to try and get people in to buy it. It didn't work out. But recently, it seems Mr. Wilson Godfrey has gone in, bought the place, and has had it completely redesigned. He's had the entire place changed. And you cannot find any records on the new build of the place, but you know the general idea of the space that it has. It had at least 2 sub-basements. It had, at the time of its construction, also 2 floors on the inside, both the ground floor and the first floor.
Okay.
It's also quite a large building.
Any
no
crimes
crime in the
committed
area.
on that?
Currently, there's not been any crimes committed on the area since then. It's a very quiet area. Not much goes on there. It's basically got a couple of theatres in there, and they've got the museum now coming in as well. It's part of the Westlands Entertainment District.
Okie. All right. Yeah, she'll spend quite a few hours there before going back to get ready for the night. Seeing if there's any reply to the letter she sent, and going on her way.
Okay. So there's no reply just yet for the letter you sent. It will take a little while for them to get back to you. But you know to expect it within at least a day. You'll have a reply for yourself, and you'll be able to deal with any business that comes from it. But aside from that, you read for most of your afternoon, and you realize it is getting dark by that time. You should probably go and prepare yourself for the night ahead. Of course, you go and do so. Miss Fairchild, what have you been doing with your day? Of course, you have finished morning. You have finished your task that you were set before. You've emerged from the tombs and had a meeting with a strange man known as Mr Gremore, upon which you had a very interesting time at the den that you usually go to. It's been a night since then, and you have your whole day ahead of you.
Given that I am not currently in employment, my day would be one of leisure. I would probably spend most of the morning at home answering correspondence and making sure anyone who was looking for my line of work got their answer promptly, even if that answer was a sad no. I would then seek out somewhere in the West End where I live where I could do some riding, just to keep my hand in. And I can only do it for a short amount of time, so I'd try and do it early, not early morning, but early afternoon, so I could go home and have tea afterwards.
Brilliant. You have a lovely day. You're leisurely, you have a very relaxing day, which is needed after your previous day of mourning. You had spent your hours with the bodies you needed to make sure that they didn't rise again from the dead, and you have a lovely day. And it does begin to get dark, and about the time that you should set off towards the lovely new museum that's opening that you were told to attend, and that you would meet people there in attendance who would be on the same task as yourself. Magdalena, what did you do for the day?
Well, I woke up and
It's a good start. Strong start.
it was a good strong start, and I made sure Chicken Boy and I got breakfast, and I tell him if he need anything for chickens to let me know, or Irene, because these chickens are very important.
Yeah, actually, he says as you sort of ask him, and he goes, actually, I do need a few things for chickens. Food would be good.
Hold on, one moment. And she goes and she picks up like a piece of parchment and a quill.
Right. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready now.
His face sat down just a bit awkwardly. Okay, so we're going to need a bit of seed for the birds, because we haven't got anything. We need some
What
chicken
kind
food.
of seed?
I'm not really I'm a bit of an expert in it. I mean, I could come with you, pick it out.
Sure. You know about chickens, so food.
Yeah, I do. That's pretty much my only thing I know about. But yeah, I know about them. Food. Be good to maybe get a couple of planks of wood, because there's a couple of bits on the old house that you have out there, the place where you keep them in the coop. It's kind of broken, and a lot of rain gets in, so it'd be good to sort of put something
The rain is
over
not
it.
good for chickens. She makes nothing.
No, they'll drown, miss. And that's not good. Chickens don't do well with drowning, miss. They don't usually behave very well when they have that happen.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is things that chickens need. They need some more wood. They need seed or food. And anything else?
Yeah, I
Do
think,
you need anything?
I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous, miss. I mean, I'm happy as I am. You've given me a roof over my head, and that's what counts it. So thank you very much for that.
Okay, so you are good. All right, we shall go to a place to buy these things.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you know anywhere?
I'm sure we can find something. I'm sure because I'm sure she gets custom frames made for a lot of her pieces, so she knows where to get some pieces of wood. She'll go to, the frame maker, and then.
Yeah, so you head on over to the frame maker, and just do a streetwise check just to make sure that you find the correct shop.
Oh no, I don't leave my house. I don't have streetwise. What would you like me to roll?
Just roll me 2d10s, please, if you don't have the skill, just on its own.
Okay. 12.
Okay, it's still good enough. So, whilst you don't quite know where you're going with it, and you're kind of looking around and a bit like, I don't really know what I'm looking for entirely, you do find the frame shop, you get the pieces of wood you need for only $1, and then after that you basically get told by them where you can buy bird food, which is just a few streets away, and you do find it, though it does take you a bit of time. Anything else we should do with your day before the end of the day?
Oh, I guess we should get a respirator for Cooper.
Yeah, he's currently walking around with like a rag on his face to kind of block out the smog.
Yes.
I'll very
swap
dark and yellow.
For a little bit. Yes,
Fair.
here. Until we buy
It's
him
oversized,
one.
but he puts it on. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get one in his size.
I've always wanted to be able to breathe properly.
I'm sure those canisters haven't been changed in like years.
Oh, no,
She
he's gonna
never-
make a check.
She doesn't really need it, so she'll buy him that, and then she'll be like, "All right, here's respirator, so you don't die, and these things, so chickens don't die. Let's go back to house. I'm going to. This was a lot of out of the house time, so."
Yes, it was a lot, wasn't it? Yeah, all right, and Miss, yeah, that sounds good. And you eventually head on back to the house, and your afternoon is I imagine, working on
Yeah.
projects.
Working on projects, and I probably would have asked Irene if she needed anything before heading out too. Yeah, I didn't think so.
If she'd have appeared as usual, but it'd be like, oh, no, I don't need anything. I will get what I need at night, she says usually. And you're left to your painting, and you're working on your pieces, but that painting is still strangely melting, continually and slowly melting.
I try to fix it.
Okay, could you give me a very quick arts check, please?
An arts check? I would love to. Okay. So, plus that. 13.
So you try and fix it, but you just kind of, you get a sponge and you're like dabbing it to try and get it off, but like the paint is still running and it just continually seems to seep out of it. And it's almost stringy as you pull it back.
This is a sign I need new paint. She will go buy new paint.
And that is what you spend your time doing. And as you pick up
Yeah.
your new collection of paints, you realize what time it is. And it's time for you to go to the museum.
Shit. And she'll go back real fast, put the paints in the house, and then she
Make
probably
your way.
doesn't have much to do to just get dolled up a little bit, and then super
Make your way
speed head
there.
out. Yeah.
And finally, last but not least, Delilah, you spent all of your previous evening singing and trying to appease the thing that is within the mirrors. What do you do with your day?
I'm assuming I'll need some sleep before functioning tonight. So she will, after, of course, having a quick talk with the steward and also functioning butler, Silas, about, you know, how the household is running and how everything is, making sure that the mirrors that were misplaced are put back.
Okay.
She will very, very specifically check, of course, her letters from the ladies and ask him to send an official invitation to Miss Tilly for tea.
Very nice.
And she would also like to pay a quick visit to Jean, her cook, to make some cakes for her new acquaintances. Of course, white icing and white flour, as is the status
course.
symbol. Mhm.
As you do, yes, of course. So you would make sure to set all of it out. Your cakes are delivered, of course, by the evening. They are baked up, made for you in perfection, and as usual, they don't really charge you so much as they make sure that they just sort of arrive on time. They deal with the payment in the background for you. They don't want to bug you with such a thing. But you are delivered everything that you want before the meeting, and of course the rest of your day, probably resting after what happened, tending to your letters, and of course your
Yes.
child.
Yes, Teddy's having a French day today when we play piano.
Okay. Very well. And could you give me a quick performance check, please, if you have that? Which you should have as a singer, so I'm pretty sure you have it.
I do. I completely flopped it last session, I'm quite sure. So that's a plus 4. Oh, 4. I did not flop as bad today. It's a 15.
Okay. On a 15. So, everything seems to be fine when it comes to you at the very least. It seems that everything is going okay. It seems that everything is moving ahead rather finely. The education is going well, and your performance is rubbing off on the performance of Teddy as well. He seems to be picking it up quite well. His French is going well, and of course everything else that you're teaching him is as well with the piano. And by the end of the day, he's rather tired, and your servants see to putting him to bed and sorting him out for you, and assure you that the mirrors will be in the place they should be tonight before you arrive back home, as your carriage is drawn and you're prepared to leave for the museum.
Okay. Before I leave for the night, GM,
Of course.
She will ask her butler encyclopedia of general knowledge. Do tell, Silas, what is the difference between a mourner and a priest?
A mourner and a priest, miss.
Indeed.
A priest is a holy man, or woman, who looks after churchly things and is all church-like. And, of course, a mourner is a person who watches over the dead after they have passed. They attend their funeral, they attend to their services of preparing the body, much like an undertaker would back in the day, and they, of course, make sure that they are all pass on well. From what I've heard, they also stay in the tombs of the dead to make sure they don't come back. It's a bit grim, if you ask me, miss. It's not the sort of business you get so involved with.
Do you think they know anything about spirits?
Well, I think if anyone did, it'd be those or them spiritualist types, then, you know, the kinds that do them seances or whatever they're called.
Very well, then. Can you please fetch me a mourner? Of course not for today, but book me an appointment.
Yeah, of course, miss, but I must ask, ghosts?
I have a interest right now in writing something a bit more haunting for one of my new songs.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, all right, and that's fine. I'll get to that, then, miss. I'll get to that. I'll see to it that it's been sorted with that.
And don't forget the invitation for Miss Tilly Griffiths.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, I will have that delivered. You have penned it, yes?
Yes, of course.
Cool. I would take it immediately to their place, then. Are we to deliver it before the museum or after?
Whenever is best for you.
Very well. Well, I could drop you off at the museum, miss, and then I will go and deliver the letter to Tilly Griffiths before she gets home that evening.
That works very well for me. Thank you.
Not a problem. The cart is ready, and everything is ready to go, by the way. So whenever you're ready to set off, lady, we'll set off.
Of course.
And with that, he sort of bows his head, begins to leave.
I will make sure to be fashionably late, so 5 minutes late.
So you're 5 minutes late, as you make it 5 minutes late to the arrival of the area. Magdalena, you're also 5 minutes late, not intentionally, however, with you. But for the rest of you, who are arriving more on time, the three of you all walk up, or of course pull up in your carriages to the West End Entertainment District, as you see theatres lining both alleys and bars and many other restaurants that line the entire street that you can see ahead of you. You can see many finely dressed individuals who are all making their way around and seem to be having a great time, laughing, cheering, drinking. For some of them, they seem to be having a lovely night. And ahead of you is a large building of 1 story tall, but very wide, very long looking, with big windows on either side that are blacked out by curtains, and in front of it is a big red ribbon that crosses just in front of the door. And you can see there's quite the queue outside. There's many other ladies and gentlemen and lords of the place all stood outside and waiting. Some of them looking quite impatient, and others looking very excitable as you all begin to arrive.
Do I
must
spot on it?
So
Do I spot on any of them the same invitations that we have?
The invitations all seem to be the same. It seems that you were given invitations that were very much the general affair. Everybody seems to have had a very specific one made, but it's all of the same style. Of course, each one of them is penned individually to each of you, but it is in a very specific style.
No fast pass then?
No fast pass now. Unfortunately not.
Tilly will get in line. She'll kind of eye up and see if she recognizes anyone here, but otherwise she's happy to wait.
Right.
can I just
no
wave
problem.
happily at her before going back to my mingling?
Of course, you wave, and you do see Delilah wave from the crowd today. And Dr. Varuk. You're around, of course.
I guess the doctor would just get in line where he would be and just sort of, have his hands together and wait.
Okay.
He's got a great coat on, and he's got 2 satchels with him, even though this is not that kind of event. One of them has a big service patch, like a medical bag, and the other is just a messenger bag type thing.
Okay. So you have all of that on you, and you do see Delilah and Tilly in the distance sort of mingling, and as Delilah waves over to them. And aside from that, as you're looking around as well, Tilly, you do recognize a few people. A couple of them that you recognize very clearly are 2 that are waiting probably both the most patiently and almost most impatiently deep down than any of the others. They are presenting a face of complete patience, whereas their interior feeling from their eyes you get is an immediate read of impatience and slight annoyance at having to wait outside. And these 2 individuals, could you give me a very quick, just an etiquette check, please?
Of course. Am I right to just roll it with the dice I have? Because...
Of course, no problem.
Here's this. And 5. And sheet. Etiquette. That's a 14.
Okay, on a 14, you do recognize 2 of the individuals there. You recognize a lady with sort of very dark hair and a very red dress that looks impeccably beautiful, who has 3 servants around her, all of which look to be of sort of a stronger variety, each of them looking like they would be able to handle any problems that would come their way. And the lady herself you recognize immediately as a Lady Redthorn, of the Redthorn family, who is known as the Inquisitor to the Queen, Victoria. Who has stood very patiently in a line, but you can see in her eyes she is not liking being made to keep waiting. And additionally, you see what looks to be a very twitchy gentleman who is wearing a bright red coat with long tails at the back, which has a gold lining all the way around, and he's wearing a top hat that seems to have strange red rings that wrap around the side of it. And he looks incredibly twitchy, like he's very fidgety. And you recognize him as a Phineas Mac III, who runs the Starfall Fair Carnival.
Phineas Mac III. Starfall.
Yes, the Starfall Fair.
Starfall Fair. Okay. Yeah, she'll go over to, if it's appropriate to approach, she'll go to Lady Redthorn and curtsy.
Okay, so as you approach Lady Redthorn, the guards immediately step in your way. But upon looking over, she sort of waves her hand slightly, and one of them steps aside for you to step in, and she smiles at you sweetly. Oh, it's delightful to see you. Miss Griffiths, is it? I've heard of your work, yes. You seem to be quite reputable around town.
And she does a hello curtsy. You flatter me, Lady Redthorn. Your reputation is much more distinguished than my own. I've heard great things about you.
Well, it would. I am, of course, in a very different position from yourself, Miss Griffiths. But yes, indeed, I have been very busy. Very, very busy. And it seems I'll be more busy soon than ever.
Oh?
It's nothing of too much import. Just a few problems. But they're out of town for now, so I'll see to it later.
I'm very sure you will.
I definitely will.
She kind of looks a bit surprised, like a little bit like, okay. And do you know anything about the museum in general?
Oh yes, quite a few things. Mr. Wilson Godfrey is running it. He opened it today, actually. It's going to open soon. He's keeping us waiting, which is very much a problem. But aside from that, it seems that he's got very interesting items in there. Apparently some very strange findings, and some which are of the occult nature. Witchcraft and magic and the like. It's very interesting. Things that no doubt the church hadn't found and destroyed.
She leans in, like, very interested. Do you tell?
Don't lean in too close, she'll get germs on me.
I'm very sorry.
She just continues to look at you, smiling the entire time. Oh no, do continue.
Where did these artifacts come from, do you know?
All over, I think. I'm sure they'll say when we go and look at them. I don't really know what all of them are. That ruins a surprise, you see.
And we do always like a good surprise.
We do sometimes,
Sometimes.
she says, and, looks you over once again.
She's okay with being looked at like she's inferior. It's okay.
She's more judging, like she's more looking over you as if assessing you. Keen eyes rather than being to put you down. But she looks over. I think you'll go quite well in this business if you keep up your work, by the way. I heard about the case of the cats. Very well done. Seriously,
Yes.
cats are very difficult to track down, and you did very well with it. Keep this up. I might have some work for you in the future.
I see. Well, I shall always keep my letterbox open for you, Lady Redfall.
Of course, though I don't really use such things. I'll just send a servant.
Of course. Well, I shall leave you to your evening, but it's been most enlightening. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Miss Tilly, she says. And as you're there, Tilly, given your increased hearing and the like, could you give me a very quick wit check, please?
Sure. Oh, that's a good one. 24.
Wow, okay. So as you're stood near her, even though there's the din of the noise of people walking by near you, the distant bells ringing, you can hear a slight tick, 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 as if a clock. It's very, very quiet, but you pick it up.
I turn to Lady Redfall before I go. Do you happen to have the time on you?
No. Jeremy, what's
Oh,
the
no.
time? Yes, miss, of course. It is 8:25, miss. And 30 seconds. 31, 32. You can stop
Brilliant.
now, Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Lady Redfall.
Good evening, Miss Griffiths, she says as you make your way away. At this point, the other two of you arrive. Fashionably late, of course. So Magdalena, you arrive. And as you arrive, you also see a very familiar sight to yourself as you see Archibald arrive, Lord Archibald, his beard trimmed perfectly, the sort of black hair with a bit of grey sort of throughout it, his hair slicked back perfectly, broad shoulders, strong jawline as he steps out of his cart and gestures for them to leave, and the cart begins to rattle off as he adjusts his cufflinks.
Since we just both got here, I'll go up and take his arm like, hey, yeah, look, neither of us are late. We're both just here on time.
Yes, we are indeed. Well, it's delightful to see you again, Magdalena. It feels like a century since I last saw you.
I know. The hours feel like days.
Oh, they do, don't they? They do, he says and smiles a little at you. So, this should be quite an interesting occasion, I'm sure.
It should
I'm looking forward
indeed.
to it personally, but I'm curious to see what sort of artifacts they have, that's for sure.
Yes, I'm very intrigued to see what historical finds they may have.
Oh,
And of
indeed.
course, my painting debut. It is
Oh, yes.
Wait.
I'm looking forward to your painting more than anything else that's here, of course. I'm very interested in finding out what that entirely is. I've heard it's
I'll
something
give you-
beautiful back home.
Yes, it is. I'll give you a hint. It is a, they wanted something to shock people. The title is Bloodbath by Moonlight.
Oh, what a
Yes.
delightful scene to call it. I like it. I'm looking forward to it, my dear, he says and kind of smiles at you politely. He looks around. Some quite interesting guests here. A lot of the nobility, some others, he says as his eyes sort of lock on Phineas. That the carnival man. What's he doing here? He says a bit confused.
He had invitation, I guess.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure we'll be fine. And at which point, the doors open, and out steps a gentleman dressed in a very nice, fancy black suit with a black shirt and a red tie. As he looks a little bit tired, he's got bags under his eyes, and he looks like he's been working to the bone. But he steps out, takes off his hat, and bows to you all deeply at the waist before he puts it back on. Welcome one, and welcome all to the Museum for Curious and Occult. It's a pleasure to have all of you here, and I look forward to showing you all around this place. My name is Mr. Wilson Godfrey, and I will be your host for this evening, and of course the proprietor of the new, brilliant, entertaining building that I'm about to show you around. So welcome all of you exclusive guests, and let us take an adventure into something strange and macabre, he says, and he gestures over the crowd. And who out there would like to cut the ribbon? Any volunteers? And he looks around. And no one puts their hand.
Chloe will put up a hand, she doesn't care.
Yes, Miss Griffiths, please come forward. You may, of course, open the museum then. If they won't, then, that will be good.
I give a curious look to Miss Redthorn, but first.
She just looks at you very placidly still.
Do you not want to cut the ribbon, Miss Redthorn, and get in first?
I don't want to do such a thing, she says as she looks at you. No, I don't wish to touch those scissors. They're probably dirty.
Fair enough. And she happily jaunts on over.
Okay, you jaunt on, and he looks kind of relieved that somebody has at least accepted doing this. And he hands over a pair of scissors to you, and they're brilliantly polished, and he hands them over. Thank you, Miss Tilly. Well, yes, I know, it's great, isn't it? So without any more delay, I hereby open the Museum of the Curious and Occult. And then he gestures to you, Tilly.
Yep, he snips it.
You. And at which point, the rest of the queue begins to move on in, and Mr. Godfrey sort of gestures for them to enter. And if you all follow in, you're led into a opening chamber, and inside of it you can see quite a wide and long hall with a area at the back that seems to have a big drawn, it looks to be a red curtain with like a strange black pattern over it at the very back. But the front and this area you're in has multiple different paintings on either of the walls that line the entire way. There is one central painting as you enter. The first thing that you see, however, the Magdalena, you recognize as yours. And your painting is beautifully the opening piece as they enter, and all of you witness it. So Magdalena, can you describe your painting once again?
Yes, so it is a rather macabre scene that's taking place. It's one of those very like wall-sized paintings. It appears to be like a castle in the distance in the background, but this is taking place more in a village outskirts in the foregrounds. There's vampires and werewolves fighting each other and eating people. There's one cat kind of tucked behind a building that's got like one of those human faces on it. And it is a rather interesting scene that has a very almost Renaissance style to the painting, very antique kind of flavor to it that is both romantic yet slightly off-putting at the same time. It's quite the scene.
And each of you are met with this as you enter. What are your reactions?
Well, the first thing I have to do is take off my respirator just to, admire it without, like, any sort of... Oh, my.
I'll slide on over to Miss Berkeley. Good evening, Mrs. Berkeley.
Yes. Good evening, Tilly Griffiths. May I call you Tilly?
Of course.
Oh, I have cake for you, by the way.
Cake?
I kind of I get my servant to, pass it over to her while I go back to stare at the painting.
Oh my
goodness.
It's definitely my lucky day. I've been absolutely showered in sweet treats. And quite vivid, is it not?
Yes. What type of period was it? Perhaps Renaissance, perhaps Baroque. What a lovely style of painting. Breathtaking, really.
Those famous humanoid cat figures.
Oh, yes.
Quite fond of them.
You're hearing all of this while I just stood next to them with Archie, who was taking it in.
I imagine we're both standing, walked very quietly and stood, still just to kind of listen, because I've seen the painting. I'm just listening to everyone else's reactions in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And you notably do hear Tilly and Delilah's reactions to it as you enter.
I'll just kind of lean over to them and be like, I am so glad you like. This is what I contributed to exhibit.
It is truly wonderful, Miss DeVille.
Absolutely.
Glad to see you again as well.
Yes, it's good to see you too. Again.
gives her
Congratulations.
a smile.
Congratulations on the exhibit, Miss Magdalena. Would you accept these? I hand her over a little bouquet of these like blue roses that Ned specifically likes to grow.
Oh, thank you very much. These are beautiful. I will put
believe
them in.
Fairchild is not looking at the painting, but is staring at the cake that Miss Berkeley offered Tilly. It's just like across the room, just an intense kind of sideways on,
Behind
just staring at the cake.
Behind her, there's a servant holding like 2 more boxes of like what smells to be like fragrant vanilla icing and like all that goodness.
Her hands are just
In this, if I
tightening
feel
on the
eyes on
tube.
my back, I turn around and kind of spot Miss Fairchild.
Like,
Good evening, Miss. Are you quite
Good
well?
evening. I'm very well, thank you.
You haven't appeared to stop looking at my cakes, Miss. Would you care for one?
I wouldn't like to impose. Still staring at the cake.
It wouldn't
you
be
know,
an
I've made
imposition.
plenty more. I kind of click over to my my gentleman who's next to me, pass one over to the stranger.
He immediately goes over and hands over a little cake to you.
She is
This is a
actually
gift from my
holding
acquaintances.
2 bone-handled canes, so has to kind of pass one into her other hand. So she's holding 2 in order to accept the cake, but she does slightly too fast to be polite, just on the hair's edge.
I don't believe we've met, Miss. My name's Tilly Griffiths. Pleasure.
The pleasure's all mine. And there's a pause. You may
And
call me
you
Miss
are-
Fairchild.
That I will, Miss Fairchild. May I allow myself to introduce Miss Delilah Berkeley and Miss Magdalena DeVille, the wonderful artist of this painting right here.
And
It's a pleasure
the
to meet
doctor,
you, Miss DeVille. And she turns to Delilah and does a deep, graceful curtsy, kind of a little wobbly because she's got the canes, and says, I am of course aware of you, Lady Berkeley. It's an honor.
As are you. It's a pleasure.
the doctor kind of appears from nowhere, real super quiet, even like damn pure quiet. And he says, your interpretation of the feline anatomy is some fanciful.
They are very funny. It is. It is a good joke. Yeah, I'm
Indeed.
sure you've seen old paintings from, 1500s, 1600s that have cats like this. So I am expert in this style of painting. So I think it's funny to put a cat like that in there.
Yeah, funny.
It's funny.
And as you say this, the other guests begin to move on and spread around the sort of opening wall as they go into the museum and begin to mill around and look at things themselves. And Archibald does also kind of look over to you, Magdalena, and go, are you going to have a look around? Do you enjoy your time with your friends, my dear?
Yes. Let me know if you find any historical inaccuracies.
Oh, I'm sure I'll spot many, he says, and sort of just unlinks and gives you a smile before Archibald leaves. And you all see the one who was linked to Magdalena before makes his way around and leaves, though his footsteps are very quiet.
I give a little smile at this and hide my my little smile behind my fan, like ooh, gossip in the back of my head. But I also just hand over a little box, a really fancy little box, and just kind of hands it in front of Doctor, like expecting him to hold it.
Thank you. And he looks. Are they closed, or does he know they're cakes? I mean, is it obvious?
They're closed, but you can smell vanilla and icing quite clearly.
You see Tilly just delicately nibbling on one.
It's like, these are for you. It was lovely to meet your acquaintance, and I wanted to celebrate all of it.
Oh, well, I brought you nothing, so My apologies, but thank you.
You brought me your company.
Ah, yes, that is very valuable. And he blinks sort of unabashedly, like, yeah, my time is money.
You hear
Man with
a
a
distant-
doctorate is quite valuable, yes.
You do hear
How
a
are you,
distant,
Doctor?
coming from Lady Redthorn near the back somewhere.
And is Miss Fairchild like eyeballing these cakes?
She has finished the one that she was holding, although no one saw her eat it, and is eyeballing
That's
the
impressive.
cakes again, yes.
That is so impressive. I cannot believe how
She's
impressive
very
that
quiet. She's very quiet.
is. Oh my goodness.
If I notice that, I'll take note of it for later. Also, too,
Cool.
when Magdalena's companion walked away, was it in a way that might be noticeable that it was odd how quiet he is? Or how
You can give me a very quick wit check for me, please.
Okay. If I have parapsychology, does that add in?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that instead.
Okay. All right.
We'll give you that.
Modifier box. And 11.
Okay, on 11, you have a look, but there's so much other things going on that your attention's being taken, in so many different directions, and you just see him vanish behind the wall before you
Okay.
fully can sort of determine. But as for the rest of you, Wilson Godfrey, the proprietor of the place, does walk over to you all, and especially approaches you, Magdalena, as he kind of goes, welcome to the museum, of course, Magdalena. It is a beautiful piece, by the way. Thank you so much for having this here. I really do appreciate this. It's a beautiful opening piece to this place. It's so curious, and yet has a ring of the occult about it. It's a beautiful way to open it, I think.
Yes, I am glad you think so. Thank you for approaching me about the piece. It was a pleasure to paint.
No. It's all my pleasure, of course. And welcome, all of you. I'm sorry that I didn't get to make my introductions before. I will be mingling, but I am, of course, Mr. Wilson Godfrey, proprietor of this lovely location, as I'm sure you will enjoy as you look around. And I believe I recognize some of you. Delilah Berkeley, yes, Miss Lady Delilah Berkeley, of course, Magdalena, Miss Tilly Griffiths, of course. I'm sorry, Doctor, I can't quite place your name.
Dr. Varrocht?
Dr. Varrocht. I don't remember inviting you, but welcome, Dr. Varrocht. It's a pleasure to have you here nonetheless. That wasn't meant to be insulting. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to remember who's here and who's not, and it's...
So many people.
And he looks...
Indeed.
Do we still have our invitations, or did we hand them off when we entered?
on you. Yeah,
Oh.
you would have to show them on your way in, but...
Okay. And then he goes, my papers. Here are my papers.
Thank you. It is in my hand, so it must be me. He kind of hands it back over.
And he
I
kind
do
of does a
believe we,
bow.
most of us here have a mutual acquaintance.
Oh.
That's all.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, that makes sense. What
She
mutual
kind of-
acquaintance?
She kind of looks at him, like trying to assess whether he knows anything
Looks
about what's going
confused
on.
More than anything else, he seems to not know. At least from the information you've given him. He has a lot of people here, and they all have a lot of mutual acquaintances, so...
Yes, the social web.
As is their way.
Perhaps when you're done mingling, Mr. Sir, I think we should all meet again. Have a
Yes, of
discussion.
course. Yes, of course. So there's the main room. Just to let you know what's here. The main room here is of the Curious, and the back room, the one beyond the curtain, is the occult. Now, if you go in there, I will warn you, don't touch any items there. There are signs all over that tell you not to do that, but please don't. You may end up cursed or worse, and you want to stay away from those.
Speaking of cursed, is there anything on the subject of hauntings in this
Oh, yes, I
lovely
believe we have a haunted
display of
mirror.
yours?
He says, and he kind of nods. But so you should enjoy that anyway. Have a look. There's haunted dolls, haunted mirrors. There's other strange things, beautiful things. It's quite curious. Please do enjoy yourselves. And of course, everything is safe as long as you don't touch it. So until then, I will be back later. Let me know when you wish to talk, Miss Griffiths and the rest of you. But until then, enjoy your time in my beautiful museum. He says, and he makes his way away. In a bit of a hurry as he runs over to Lady Redthorn. And yes?
When he was talking about the occult, did he genuinely seem to believe in what he was saying, or was he putting on an act?
Give me a quick wit check just to give a read of him.
20.
Wow, okay, cool. So, as you take a look over him, he seemed to believe in the occult. He seems to heavily believe in it. There is no doubt in his mind that the occult exists. He is very genuine about everything he's saying. He seems to not be lying about anything that he's talking about. As far as he's aware. He believes these things are haunted.
True believer. How interesting.
Excuse me, I do not believe we have made acquaintance, and she's kind of sidle up to Miss Fairchild.
My name is Miss Fairchild, Miss DeVille. Miss Griffiths introduced us a moment ago. I understand if you've forgotten.
What's going on?
I don't draw a lot of attention.
Understandable. I do not get out of house much, so I can sympathize with not wanting to.
And you didn't introduce us to that, your partner, Miss DeVille.
Oh, that is Archibald. He is...
Lord Archibald?
Lord Archibald Berkeley.
Yes.
It'd be charming to get a proper introduction later. I'm very sorry
Indeed,
to
it would
catch you.
be.
Of course, I told him all about you all when I saw him earlier.
I completely understand. I tell Ned everything too.
He is lovely. Now, this is very interesting museum. I'm going to walk around if you would like to accompany. I'm sure we could catch up with Archie if you'd like to meet him.
Very much
Yes.
so.
That would be lovely. Do you think maybe we would find any mourners here? That would be quite lovely.
Are you in need of a mourner's services, Lady Berkeley?
In a way, yes.
And I don't know what kind of credentials a mourner would have, but Miss Fairchild produces them, guild papers or something.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have some guild papers, so you'd have those on you at all times. They're very... It's more like a card than anything else. It's like a very fancy card.
Nilo Dallas multipass.
Basically.
And just kind of hands over the card gracefully.
Oh.
I have been in good standing with the guild for many years.
Oh, how very convenient. I was just looking for one of... Oh, goodness. Do you mind if I kind of gesture to kind of like further into the rooms? I would love to hear about your work while we explore this place. Please, do tell me, do you know anything interesting about hauntings and perhaps that haunted mirror?
Hauntings fall outside the purview of the guild. We deal with the dead and making the undead remain so. Spirits are nebulous and uncomfortable.
Might you be someone who knows a little about the nebulous and uncomfortable?
And there's almost a half twitch before she just kind of touches her hair and moves both of her canes back into her hands, like she's preparing to move on. I'm afraid that falls outside of my line of work. I'm so sorry not to be able to help you further, Lady Berkeley.
No, but please do tell me more about it. This is a tradition that I've never really heard of. You see, there wasn't really any of this profession back at home.
Home?
We didn't have the plague.
It was like just stunned, like can't really process that worldview at all. Like you may as well have just said, we didn't really have gravity.
Yeah, pretty much. So she looks quite interested while just like walking along with you, just very slowly looking at things. I heard some things about it from Ned. He told me very little. We had the war instead. A bit different.
but still costs many lives, and is in its own way damaging.
Indeed. So I would love to hear about it. The old world is very interesting to me, especially the professions that have come out of our culture differences.
And as they walk around, Miss Fairchild will basically give like the lecture light version of what a mourner does and how they came about. Something she will have learnt at the guild when she was younger.
Yeah, you probably go into that sort of, do you know when you've learned something time and time again, and you just kind of almost have like the glossy eyes as you reel off the thing that you have said probably thousands of times at this point to every single noble you've ever come in
so it
contact
comes across as quite, elderly teacher kind of.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
But yes, you're told about the mourners. You're told that they are a guild, of course, of individuals who give over most of their life and their work to be able to dedicate themselves to looking after the dead, making sure the dead do not come back, and that they stay where they should be, which is safely in the ground or in their tombs. And that every single time one raises an animate, it is their duty to put it to rest, to put it in a polite way. And that this order has been around for as long as the Reclamation has been, and perhaps even before, but their duties have obviously changed since the plague made things come back. So they are highly trained, and they are very efficient at what they do.
And
What
was that, sorry?
That.
animates have corporeal bodies. Drat.
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, she does ask
You have
very
flashbacks
distinctly.
like slicing off many heads of animates in the past each time one raised, and you're like, I think they do.
There's
And then you have like
very
flashes of
much
hundreds
like
of
a
heads
pause, like,
crumbling.
did you really just ask that? Just like, yeah. Most
I've yet to
certainly.
see one. The wall will
And then you should count yourself lucky, Mal.
And the doctor snorts like, wow. And just recomposes himself.
Okay. No problem.
Though there's plenty of tornadoes where I come from. Or hurricanes. I can't remember the difference. Ned keeps telling me the difference. I can't really remember. She looks over at
Just
Doctor.
lost for words.
What is the difference?
Can I make a psychology roll to see if I know she's nuts?
Yeah, you can definitely make a psychology roll to see if you know she's nuts.
All right. This is +2. And nope.
On the 11, it's inconclusive. You don't know if she's nuts or not, but she's saying strange things like that she's from the New World, and also about things like these hurricanes, which are not something that you're familiar with.
Okay.
There's a lot of inconsistencies here, and how could anybody not know of an animate and not have experienced the plague?
And so then the doctor will like dodge that hurricane tornado question and say something about spirits and the physical properties of some spirits are found in ectoplasm.
And does ectoplasm go into mirrors?
No, not as I know of. But
Well, that is not very helpful.
if you find ectoplasm on a mirror, you call and I'll come and collect it.
I once
What
heard a
does
story of
ectoplasm look
mirror
like?
that there was
Yes.
face inside it, and there was royalty, and she say, "Mirror, mirror on wall, who is most beautiful of all?" And then one day
excellent.
it did not say her, and she got very mad and went and murdered some people.
Let's see.
Yes.
Just poisoned the whole orchard of apples, and they all just died. It was tragic.
Now what about
But that
mirrors
is
that
all-
tell you to do things?
It didn't tell her to poison apples. She asked it questions and it tell her things. And she wasn't happy with answers and she went crazy.
This sounds like a lot of the tales I've heard, but they're mostly for children.
If you read the tales of the Brothers Grimm to children, Dr. Verrucht, then they'd be quite traumatized indeed.
Who does not read tales of the Brothers
is.
Grimm to children?
Yeah, it's a
Ned
children's book.
recommended reading those to Teddy.
And the doctor's looking at Magdala like, duh.
Very good. Very good. Oh, I should get a copy
Life
for
is hardly less traumatizing, Miss Griffith.
You've got a point.
At least
I
stories
suppose.
end.
They're very educational. There's lesson in each one.
Speaking of lesson, I'm rather curious about the mirror in this exhibit. I do prefer not to look at myself in them, though. So if you'll excuse me, I'll just quickly go and see it.
Of course.
Just excusing myself, going make a beeline for the mirror.
I've just been
Shall
looking
we?
at all of the artifacts as we've kind of just
Okay,
been
so
walking.
there's a lot of things as you're all sort of walking around. You see what looks to be a strange-looking pole with multiple faces carved into it. You see a painting that seems to have some eye holes where the actual eyes should be, and it's sort of on a middle placard. And as you walk around it, you can see that you can look through where the holes are and see through them. And you also see many other strange things, such as there is a leg bone that seems to be about what looks to be 20 foot long that just extends on one of the areas and is lofted up to kind of be fully presented. And underneath it, it says the leg of a giant, and then has some little extra details about where it was found. It seems to have been found in Denmark from what it said and was brought back from there. You find many other strange things as well as you walk around. There is also what looks to be a single stone that is held aloft, and it seems to continually have a strange sort of substance that leaks out of it and into a little bowl underneath. But when it hits the bowl, it seems to merge with it almost. It's very
when
strange.
When we move into the occult room, Miss Fairchild is
so
just
you'll
going
get
to
to that.
find, kind of, walk very slowly, kind of trying to keep her canes quiet, and find a position where she can see most of the exhibits, and is just going to very, very carefully lift the corner of her cloth eye patch and see if she can see any creepy auras or spirit things with her oraculum.
Okay, so as you approach the curtain, and obviously you've been seeing all these strange paintings and strange objects as you're walking through, but they all seem to not have any sort of energy around them, Miss Fairchild. But as you approach that curtain, who else is going into the sort of occult area, as they'd call it?
Oh, the doctor, definitely.
Doctor.
Tilly would be.
Yeah,
Tilly.
I'd like to go.
Deadhead.
I'm looking to
much
see if they have anything stolen from my house, from back home, because that tends to happen in museums sometimes.
Okay, no problem. So you open the curtain, and Wilson sort of gives you a slight nod as he's currently talking to Archibald about the strange ball that keeps on making this really weird liquid run down into this bowl, and he kind of gives you a nod as you enter. And inside there is indeed a large sign that says, "Under risk of death, curse, or worse, do not touch the objects held within. Thank you." And underneath this small text saying, "If you touch the objects, please let the proprietor of the museum know."
And the doctor's just going to get out his box camera and start taking pictures, unless somebody stops him, of the items.
So you take out the box and you begin to start picturing them. And inside there is a interesting collection, though notably, it seems there are some stands, around 3 or 4 of them, that have nothing on them. They have a cushion, and there's no item on them. However, the rest of them are occupied, and you do see indeed a 10-foot mirror that is leaned against one of the walls, the furthest wall of all, and away from the rest of the scene. And at the side,
I'm probably
it says,
staring at it.
at the side, before you could kind of walk around and see yourself in it, you'd have to walk around. But as you're staring at the back of it, there is a sign that says, "Under no circumstance should you touch the mirror, especially if asked." And it is known as the Mirror Macabre. And aside from that, there are other things. There is a very realistic and almost flesh-like looking death mask that is laid on a cushion on one of the ends. There is a dagger with a pommel with a red ruby in the top of it that seems to be made of some strange bone that is held within a glass case. there is a doll that is sat on a shelf at the back and has what looks to be rope that has been buried inside of the wall itself and tied to each of its limbs, holding it in place. And there are many other strange and curious things. And as you look over them, Miss Fairchild, almost all of these have a very bad aura on them. That is aside from one. There seems to be a small teddy bear that is missing both of its eyes, that is sat in a lonely corner, and it is turned away from everything, just facing the side. You can just catch the missing eyes from the corner of it that's shown as it stares at the wall. That seems to have a good energy about it.
Do I catch either Magdalena or Archibald in my field of vision when I'm looking around the room?
So you don't catch Archibald, he's still in the other room, but you do catch Magdalena, who does have a strange aura about them.
Yeah.
But also,
And I will...
Delilah has a strange aura about her, but it's less like an aura, it's more like it's pulling things in than it is residuating something. She seems to almost, as she walks around the items, you see the item's energy almost grow, and then when she leaves, it dwindles back down. Very strange.
I'm gonna gently just like go over and just like walk a few paces behind Lady Barclay and maybe try and steer her towards the nice teddy bear. Just kind of like,
I'm actually... Have I seen... Pardon?
have you seen the exhibit in the corner? It's quite unusual. I haven't seen anything like it before.
I will get to it. My first and primary concern is the mirror. You know how ladies do like to powder their noses and the like.
So I've been told. Don't
Yes,
touch anything, will you, Mom?
I will not. I prefer not to touch things, particularly mirrors. She's kind of like walking quite briskly, almost like a bit paranoid on edge as she walks towards it.
Okay. What about the rest of you? As Delilah is approaching the mirror, what are the rest of you doing? Is there any items you wish to look at in particular? Of course, Doctor, you're just picturing each.
What are the three things that are missing labeled as?
Okay.
I mean, are there placards or anything, or no?
So there are placards, but they seem to have been covered up. It seems there has been something that has covered them as if it's... And it says out of order on each of them.
Oh, how clumsy of me. I turn and rub my satchel against it so it pulls the cloth off of the first one.
Okay, you pull it off, and the first one, as you kind of look at it, it says what looks to be Mask of the Tortured Heart.
Okay. And I will, not immediately, but do the same to the other two at some point, as long as I'm not, like, grabbed by anyone. Like, when that one fell, I do the, oh, how clumsy of me, and I pick it up and I put it back on top where it was, and then...
Okay. So the second one that you reveal, and I'll just give you this as you're going around, the second one as you reveal it, you see something that is known as the Dagger of Eternal Bliss, as it's labeled.
All right.
And the final one, as you dust over it as well, who idly, it's known as the All-Seeing Crown.
All right.
And you approach the mirror, of course. What about the rest of you? Tilly, Magdalena?
I'm happy for you to go first, Mag.
Okay. Magdalena is looking for anything from the home country. So just kind of walking there. Just does a quick once over, and then if she doesn't see anything, she'll probably look more at the dagger.
Yeah, none of them really seem to be something that you recognize, but as you sort of look at the signs that have been uncovered, they seem to not really ring a bell either, aside from one. The Dagger of Eternal Bliss, as it is called here, the indentation and the description of it on the plaque, which is very, very brief and has been mostly not finished yet, it seems. It's not fully done. But it does speak of it being from Romania. And being a what is known to be an old ritual dagger that holds many properties to infatuate anyone with it.
Interesting. I'll
It's said
make
to
mental note.
beguile the hearts and minds of men and women and turn them to any cause that they need, and deliver to them ultimate bliss in performing such acts.
Excellent. Sounds like something Papa probably has a couple of in the basement or something. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, she'll just, look around. Make a note of that and then go look at the other dagger. Like, oh yes, me. See what this has to say.
Okay, no problem. And you continue on going around and looking at them. Luckily, none of the other artifacts seem to be from home, but they are kind of interesting to look at. That dagger looks nasty, and if anything, you feel a bit off-put by it. You feel like it is dangerous to you.
Give it a wary eye and back away.
Okay, and as you back away, Tilly, what are you looking at?
Tilly will be basically going around each one quite methodically, giving a glance to the placard, a glance to the item for no more than a second or two, and then moving on. And should be keeping an eye on everyone, like the people that she knows. Should be keeping an eye on their movements, where they seem to gravitate towards, what they seem to be doing. But just passing glances, her eyes seem to be moving all around. To casual observers, it just looks like there's too much to take in, but she's memorizing everything.
Brilliant. And finally, Delilah, you and Miss Fairchild, do you go to the mirror or do you go to the teddy that Miss Fairchild is referencing?
She, for all intents and purposes, is wearing a metaphorical blinder. She's just making a beeline for it.
Okay, no problem.
And just kind of like very obsessively going for it, basically.
Okay. So, you walk on over towards it. And as you approach, the mirror almost for a moment seems to not reflect back as you walk around the side and right in front of it. And Miss Fairchild, as you see her approach, that aura of the mirror grows quite a bit stronger in her presence.
I'm just staying quite close. Not, not like right next to her, but I'm close in case something happens.
And whilst you, Miss Fairchild, are stood watching, you don't see the current thing that's going on. You can't see the mirror itself from your angle, but you can see Delilah. As you step in front of the mirror, it's for a moment just a plain mirror, but you can't see your own reflection in it. It's strange. It reflects the rest of the room around you, but not you. But then, in your place, you see somebody appear. You see a gentleman that you're very acquainted with, your husband, standing. And he looks back, his face pale. He looks to have grown a bit of a beard in the time since you've been gone, and he looks panicked as he sees you. Delilah. What are you?
She looks around and
doing?
looks back at him.
You shouldn't be here, Delilah. Get out. He'll see you. He's watching all the time, Delilah.
Are you alright, Ned?
No.
I'm so sorry.
Right. This thing in here isn't human. It isn't right. It does.
I'm sorry, my love. You shouldn't have been dragged into this.
Where am I? I don't understand where I am. It's many places, but none at once. It's strange. It's fragmented. It's broken. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't. The thing, it's always there, taunting, watching. My love, what is this?
If I make him happy, if I appease him, maybe he'll let you out. But until then, please wait for me. I'll find a way.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? He says as he looks back at you, still panicked, and he seems to walk towards the mirror, whereas you don't, and you see a thud on the side, almost like something is thudding outwards towards you. He says, let me out. Just get me out of here, whatever's between us, whatever separates us, my love, we can make it work. Just let me out of here and I'll be fine. I'm sure he can escape if you just let me out. Whatever it isn't It isn't here now. I can't hear it. I can't feel it. It's surely not around here.
How do I help?
Let me out. Please.
But I don't know
let me
how.
stay here, Delilah. No longer, please. And you're hearing one side of a conversation, Miss Fairchild.
I'm just watching Lady Berkeley very closely.
Yeah, I'm
Very
hiding my
readily.
conversation behind a fan, but you could probably see her lips moving and yeah.
Oh, and you can hear the words, yeah. Break it.
Yeah.
Break it, please. Just let me out. If you open the door, I'll be able to get out.
I cannot do with everyone watching. Perhaps I could have it bought or something. Do you think you can hold out for that long?
I don't know what you're... Just let me out, please. Just open the door. That's all I need. Please, just don't let me locked here. Don't leave me in here. Please, Delilah. Please.
Very well. I'll go see what I can find. Perhaps a hammer. I'm not sure what they would be. Perhaps one of those daggers. All right. She kind of just turns and briskly walks past you, Miss Fairchild, is not seeing or gravitating for anything she sees that's sharp, or potentially she can.
There is a dagger. There's one that Magdalena's kind of currently looking at and going, yes. And you see Tilly sort of like eyes going everywhere in the room, and of course Miss Fairchild is. You've seen a strange exchange of one-sided conversation and her saying, I'll go and get something, perhaps a hammer or something sharp, before walking away.
I am
She's
following.
Okay.
Quietly.
Of course.
Oh dear. Actually, so there's daggers over
There's one
around. Do you know where the doctor might be?
You see him taking a picture of the dagger right now. And he's like...
Yeah, I can't really steal things with him like having a camera. Oh, gotta be careful about this. Doctor?
Yes.
You know how she kind of leans in, kind of like puts her fan over so she can lean in and talk to him. How you carry those protective instruments of yours?
Why, yes.
Would you mind terribly if I borrowed it?
Oh, just vampires or animates? What are we fighting?
As you say the
Do I
word
hear him
vampire,
say vampires?
as you hear vampires,
Wait,
Magdalena,
what do you
you
mean
hear vampires, the word. Magdalena, could you please make me a very quick coordination check?
Sure. Oh no, I'm not coordinated. I forgot.
Oh no.
Because I'm just startled by hearing that word out of nowhere. 12?
Okay. As you hear the word vampires, you... let me just make the check on this for the thing, and we will see what happens. So as that word is said, okay, that's not too bad. +4. So that's fine. That's fine. You are nicked by the dagger, as the dagger that is on the cushion that you were kind of off-put by. As they mentioned, vampires. It begins to rise from its cushion, and it smashes through the glass and basically goes and cuts your palm slightly, but not much, before it hovers next to you, continuing to hover.
I definitely let out a full hiss at it.
Do we hear this?
You all hear the glass shatters, it floats on by, and Magdalena hisses fully at it, and the dagger seems to, if anything, sort of jab towards you slightly as you hiss, just like a warning stab. And about that time, Mr. Wilson immediately flings open the curtain and walks on the other side and looks around a bit worried and goes, what's going on? Oh dear, you touched
This
it.
thing... No! It broke through glass and lunged at me!
That's preposterous. It doesn't do such things, only if evil is in its vicinity. Or vampires, I've so heard. It is known as the
The
Great Vampire
doctor's
Slave.
pointing at it. That's the
Anything
dagger.
else with vampires?
I don't really have time for this. Can I try to
Be very still. We just need to lull it back to sleep. Can anyone sing?
I can, but I would rather break the mirror you have over there. I
wouldn't advise.
I would buy it.
Lady Barker.
Please cease from damaging things. About that time, it's going to go for another swipe against you, Magdalena.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh
No! Someone smashed the mirror so I can pay attention to this.
And it will go for another strike. However, this time does miss you as it goes towards you, and you out of the way quickly and manage to.
I'm not doing anything. And if Archie's come into the room, I'm giving him the look like, "Don't come closer."
You see the curtain parts for a second, and you can see him across the room, and he looks over, really confused, and he catches your eyes, and then it covers, and you don't see what he does. However,
coming after
this
me,
dagger is still floating
vampires,
towards her.
At this point, can I step in?
Yeah, you're all around the area.
Okay, I bring out one of my penny dreadfuls and just gently boop the tip of the dagger. Now then, that's quite rude.
The dagger turns
very
to look
slowly back up.
Should you be?
And then the dagger turns back to look at Magdalene.
No, she boops it again. No. You should be on your box.
Back around, confused. But then turns back away to Magdalene.
The doctor's taking his great coat off and using his quiet ability to sneak up on the dagger at this point.
So we need songs, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, Miss Berkeley.
I've heard it can cut through stone to make it to vampires' hearts when it needs to. Luckily, they don't exist, so...
I try not to look nervous.
Don't worry, we just need to sing a song. It's probably just mistaking you for a vampire. Probably the fashion statements. I'm so apologizing for this. I can't apologize enough.
You have collected some very dangerous objects here.
Oh, of course, yes. I can't touch
foolish.
them. No, it's not foolish. It's all contained. Aside from this, which I'll put in the back
room. The fact that one of your
now.
exhibits stabbed something would say your containment is inadequate.
I will move this one. The rest are all fine as long as you do not touch them.
I didn't touch anything. It's fine.
Miss Berkeley, perhaps that song now?
Okay, so you begin to sing.
Just little, lullaby.
Your performance check, please.
Ooh,
Okay,
that's a
that's
14.
And the dagger suddenly is sort of bobs around a little bit and gets lower and lower before it just onto the ground. At which point, the proprietor, Mr. Wilson, goes and picks it up and kind of just puts it close to his chest for a moment and goes, "I'm so sorry for that, Miss Magdalena DeVille. I can't apologize enough. I will take it into the back room. I won't have it on display anymore. I can't apologize enough. I'm so sorry," he says.
It's fine. I could just have cloth too. It cuts me.
So as you raise your hand, the rest of you see there's no cut on her hand.
Oh. I think you should be like, I thought it cut me. That is. It must have just. It was very startling.
Oh, how strange. He smiles a bit and he kind of gestures.
I run off. Back to the
what?
mirror to have a check. I'm going to just
I
quickly
am
check it.
following her.
I will follow. She seems upset, and I'm going to try to diffuse by following her.
So you kind of, oh no, and leave. And Mr. Godfrey just kind of stands there, dagger still held to him as he's like,
Just
What?
get that in different room, please.
Of course, yes. I'll
different.
put it in the back. I have. Yes, I'll put it with
It's
the.
just
With the I'll
chain
put
it
in the back.
down. I'll not put the rock under it. Something.
Of course, he says, and goes to the back end, and he goes, "Please do not touch anything whilst I'm gone." And then he opens the door with a set of keys. You see there's a big metallic door at the back end, and he opens it with 3 separate keys, before he opens the door and closes behind him and disappears into the back.
The doctor goes to swing his great coat back on, but you see that he has 2 shoulder harnesses, and a gun and a torch and a stake and a trench knife and some extra clips and a flashlight on his sides hanging from these two holsters. And then he puts the coat back on and begins to, button the buttons back up on it. And then he sort of looks at everyone like, okay, is everybody cool? Like, he's looking at them like, are they enemies or not? Should I be afraid? like I just laid out my hand, really, and now I need to if I need to do any repairs here, or make a cover story or anything. What's everybody look
How
like?
complicated.
Tilly's
following
cleaning
I'm
the
going
glass.
over to just check it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magdalena's
All right.
trying to play it real cool right now.
So
Well, I think
check
I
out the
think I
mirror
got
in a
away
hurry.
with it.
okay, no problem. So who's approaching the glass? Who's approaching the mirror with Delilah?
I will,
I'm
because
right
she seems
behind her.
upset.
Okay. The two of you next to each other. What about you, Dr. Baruch?
Oh,
Are you with them?
No, I guess I was watching the guy go through the back door and making
Yeah.
sure nobody saw me armed to the teeth, and then
Nobody seems to have seen you. Luckily, it's only you lot that are in the occult section at the minute. It seems that the rest are still in the mass of curiosities, like in the other room. They're still going through even a quarter of those. There's so many of them. You
Well,
guys just kind of
I'll get-
bypass it.
I'll gather
You
up my
saw Brett,
samples.
like, You saw Tilly give you like a look, and just
Yeah.
look, nod, clean glass.
And then the OCD kicks in, and I help her clean the glass.
Okay, so the two of you are cleaning. There's no rolls for that. Don't worry, you can clean.
Okay.
It will take a bit to
Mr.
kind of gather it up.
Mr.
Yeah,
Frog,
it's-
there are a couple of things that are just a little bit odd, don't you think?
Yes.
You have a stake on you,
Yes.
and you mentioned vampires earlier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The vampire.
Right.
Did my keen ears hear this conversation? Like, why are they talking about vampires? They should stop
Give
talking.
me a very quick wit check, please, as you're hearing vampires, 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 vampires.
Vampire,
everywhere right now.
Vampire.
Yeah.
Vampire.
Echoing.
14.
Ooh.
You hear vampires, but nothing else. Let's add to that
that's the worst.
paranoia of yours.
Game Master, is vampirism a commonly known thing, or is it an
No, it's a myth.
emerging? Right, it's a myth.
It's a legend. It's a myth. It doesn't exist.
Do you actually believe in vampires, Mr. Verrot? Doctor.
I have seen a lot of the world. I believe in a lot of things.
Yes. Well, a floating dagger just attacks someone, I'm sure. It's just
It is.
Mr. Lucifer. Gremore said something rather strange about our Mr. Ville.
Maybe I did not.
No, you might have not caught it, but my memory doesn't fail me. He said, have you eaten them yet? I thought it might be a weird fetish and didn't want to pry, but this, on the other hand, speaks of something rather different.
Yes. Let's hope they are not ghouls or vampires, but I would keep an eye out.
I see. What is the difference between a ghoul and a vampire? I'm not a studier, a master of the occult, you'd say.
The ghoul eats the flesh, the vampire drinks the blood.
Oh, how efficient. A pair of them. Cleaned up a body really well. Sorry.
It should be. And he like, he never thought of
It
that.
gives you a very strange look.
They should work together is what he's thinking,
And meanwhile, whilst you're having this strange thought, and Magdalena, your ears are on fire from all the vampire talk going on right now that you're kind of vaguely getting. Vampire, ghoul, vampire, weird fetish, vampire. That's all you get.
The important stuff.
The important bits is what you're getting whilst this is going on. So Delilah,
Yes.
you approach the mirror. Magdalena, you kind of swerve and gone with Delilah. Miss Fairchild,
Autopilot following, ears burning.
Still quietly, as always, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the three of you
Gothic
approach the mirror.
ghost.
Like a gothic ghost. And Delilah, you creep your way around to the other side of the mirror again. You go back to the corner where you can see the mirror, and you don't see him in there.
Oh.
And could
He
you give me a very quick
sways.
willpower check, please?
Who, me? Oh, no.
Yes, you.
Okay. 19.
Okay. So as you look, almost as you sort of sigh in sadness, he reemerges. He walks immediately onto the sort of area you can see of the mirror, and almost would make you jump if not you were prepared for it. You've seen worse things in mirrors recently. And he appears back in front of it again and goes, "Oh, Delilah, thank God you're back. Thank everything that this could in this world. Please, have you found something to let me out? Have you found a way to break this door?"
Have you ever heard of the Dr. Varut? I was just checking to see you were here.
Right now. Yes, I know of a Dr. Varuk. Yes, I know of Varuk. What about Varuk?
He has a stake and things that could probably shatter this mirror. I just wanted to check you were still there.
Out then.
Yeah, yes. Doctor, do you mind if I borrow you for a second? Or two, depending on how long this mirror takes.
Do I hear? Yes, Dr. Varuk has a stake. As I'm like,
Yes, you do hear that. Like everything that Delilah was saying is audible to both Fairchild and Magdalena clearly.
Yeah.
and they're
Those
just going,
silly
vampires,
catch-ups.
vampires, and I'm like, oh, this stake.
Is
Excuse
there
me
any
for a
way to
moment.
Step round to look in the mirror to see if there's anything there.
Okay, could you give me a quick willpower check then, please, Miss Fairchild?
Okay. Now, do I add my concentration to my will rolls? 'Cause I've
You
wrote
do
that
in
down,
resisting
I don't have to
things,
write.
but you don't when just
Okay.
assessing what your current thing is. But you do add that
Okay,
when you're
fine.
concentrating to resist fear or resist things like that.
Okay. Right.
You're not easily spooked.
How do I add a modifier?
You just roll 2d10s and then add it manually with your head. So just tell me what the final roll is.
Okay. All right. So,
There is another way of doing it, which is clicking like the modifier box.
okay, so that's 16. Yes.
Cool.
Yes,
So on a
16.
16, as you sort of look at the mirror, you do indeed see a shape in there. It's a vague shape, though, for you. You don't see it entirely clearly, but you do see a shape, almost a shadow of a man, it seems, who has his hands sort of on the mirror and is talking, but you can't hear what they're saying.
If I
Delilah.
draw back my eye patch, do I see anything else, or is it just the energy around the mirror?
As you draw back your eye patch, at this point, I will need a check to check for fear. So could you give me a will plus concentration roll, please?
Okay. So. dee-dee-dee-dee.
Wow.
That's very
So
good.
that's plus 8.
Yep. So you were
I can't
you
do
were
that
not
math
afraid
in
at
my
all.
head, but that's plus 8.
You
25.
you may be a bit shaken by this,
Thank
but you aren't afraid. You're not running away. You see this, and whilst it might shake you slightly seeing such a thing, it doesn't affect you in any other way. As you look at the mirror, and you do see behind the shadow is a growing, bigger, much more sinister entity that seems to be creeping ever closer to the person in front of the glass. And you see two eyes look back at you from the mirror, and they lock onto yours, Miss Fairchild.
I will turn to Lady Berkeley. My eye, by the way, there's like a Mad Eye Moody thing going on, except it's green and it's
Ooh.
glowing. And there's a moment where she just covers it back over and says, "Whoever your friend is, I suggest you tell them to run. There is something else, and it is coming."
Ned, run.
What? What?
Look behind you.
He says, and he looks at you before he begins to run. And at which point, the mirror reflects your face back. And it seems to be a normal mirror again.
She kind of swoons a bit.
And could you give me a very quick
Miss
vitality
Fairchild
check,
makes
please?
no attempt to catch her. Just like, no.
But the
Give me a
doctor
vitality check, please, Delilah.
Yeah,
Doctor,
and I
you're
think
walking away.
Magdalena excuses herself. She's like, Dr. Farouk, after doing this thing, I need some fresh air. All this, the glass break. I'm going to step out for a moment. It's lovely seeing you.
And as this is going on, and as you're like, oh, I need fresh air, and you're about to walk out until he's cleaning up the rest of the glass, and Fairchild has stepped away and is kind of just watching her. And Varuk is halfway across the room, is about the time that Delilah seems to swoon and fall to the ground.
Oh, this is a trap. They want me to catch her. They're going to be like, she's going to go for the neck, and then they're going to stake me. No, I am not falling for it.
So the two of you
I
nearby.
just shout at the top of my lungs, like, Doctor!
Yep.
Okay, Doctor,
I'll
give
try.
me a very quick. Just give me a quick coordination check to try and get there in time. As you're across half the room, and there's two people stood next to her, just like, no.
You know, she is the person though that I want to talk to, so I think she might try to like help, but like leaning back, helping. Like, look, I'm nowhere near
just
her
taking
neck.
like a full step back so I'm out of the way. Just like, no.
Okay. Could you give me a coordination check as well, then, Magdalena?
Yes, I can. Give me a second.
16 for the doctor.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so
11.
So Magdalena, you kind of put your hands out, but you don't put them out enough because you're so far leaning away that you're not actually catching them. But as you swoon and fall, the doctor manages to catch you at the last moment before your head strikes the ground, and he catches.
Oh God, you've got this. Too much. Must go. And then
And as you're walking out, Magdalena,
Is she pale or is she flush?
she's very pale
From fear.
from terror.
And I lay Mrs. Berkeley or Lady Berkeley to the ground, and I look. You start the whole doctor thing. Look at her pupils and feel for breath.
No problem. And she seems to be fine, just fainted, apparently. Something must have very much stressed her out. And as you're sort of doing this as well, Magdalena, and as you're making your way out of the occult section, something catches your eye that you didn't notice before. And there seems to be a double curtain pulled. And there seems to be a large, what looks to be a massive painting, or some sort of art piece, or sculpture or something, behind a curtain at the back of the area of the room.
in the
Can you
occult
take a peek
section.
quickly? In the occult section.
If it's on the way,
It is on the way. It's next to the exit.
yeah. If it's on the way, she'll just be like, "Is it better than mine?" Like, kind of like just take a peek.
So as you open the sort of little sheet that is covering it currently, the sort of curtain swings open dramatically, and inside is revealed what looks to be a about a 20-foot tall sculpture of a golden chicken. On a pedestal, standing proud.
Cooper would like this, and I just keep going to Archie.
And you head out towards Archie. And as you do, in the back of your head, you hear a pop, 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 as you leave.
Oh my.
Oh my days.
Oh my god.
We started a cult now. Congratulations.
And you make it towards Archie, who is currently looking at what looks to be a painting of a massive cat with a massive human face.
Is it an old painting?
It seems to be one of your own old paintings. You don't know why you did like a 15-foot canvas by 15 foot of a cat with a massive human head.
Pretty sure I got grounded for a good 30 years, and I had nothing but
Yeah, it has your father's face on it.
Yeah, I was really. That was during my angsty phase. That was in the late 1400s, early 1500s. But anyways, she'll kind of go over and she'll just kind of take his hand and like give it a squeeze and be like,
Is everything all right, Magdalena? You seem rather disturbed. I was just looking at this painting. It seems rather delightful, actually. Very strange, though. Such a massive head on this cat.
I was bored.
Yes.
It was the early 1500s. I was so angsty then. I was.
Well, it was you, is it? That makes some sort of sense, then. I mean, I did think the artistry was rather fine. The fur on it is impeccable, though the
Thank you,
detailing
thank
to the faceline and frown is very concerning.
Yes, it was. picture of my father on the cat's face. He grounded me. I wasn't very happy. I got bored. I painted a picture.
I can't imagine why he'd be so angry at such a thing. It's an honor to be drawn in such a way, he says, and smiles at you like me. So what else
I drew
can
it
I
after
do?
he got angry. But no, there was she'll just tell him what happened in the dagger. It floated, it broke through glass, it cut my hand, but of course it's healed up now. It apparently is a vampire killing dagger, so yes. I was like, don't come in, it's going to try to stab you too. Yes.
Yes, I
so.
think it would. Very well, a rather disturbing thing to have on the display.
Apparently they're like, oh, it should only activate in great evil presence or vampires. And then I was like, stop saying vampires. But no, they just kept saying vampires. And then now they're discussing, talking about what mistakes. So I just came out to get some fresh air.
Of course, my love. Please do come here. Come closer.
Yes, let's look at
it. And in your ear he whispers, do we need to kill them?
Oh, no. I think they usually distracted me, hysterically fainted.
Right,
so.
Okay, good. Well, that may make for a good distraction if you need them to disappear, my love. I can make it so if you need.
Not right now, but it is just so
delightful
much.
Painting, though.
Of course. Let's look at these trinkets over here behind the glass on the wall. Looks like cutlery.
Oh, it is cutlery, yes. It's cutlery, but they're all it's so strange but useful. They all seem to be some sort of combination of both a fork and a spoon.
And spoon. This is like, what do you call that?
I think this would be some sort of foon. Yes, foon is a good name for it, I think.
Yes.
I think that will catch on quite well. Strange things, though. I mean, you could both scoop and stab at the same time. A strange invention.
Very
useful.
strange. I mean, I thought the chopsticks were odd, but I mean, the foon.
Yeah. A foon is rather strange. And the rest of you, as you've been left in the room, and Delilah has fainted, what are you doing?
I'm examining the mirror. I'd like to read the plaque on it. And just do like a slow circle of it, read the plaque, and then come back around to the shiny side.
Okay, so you read the plaque, and the plaque does read once again, do not touch under any circumstance. And of course, it basically seems to be a warning of if you see anything, leave it be. Don't believe what the mirror shows. But the mirror itself is known as the mirror macabre, and the description says that it will show you what you want most, and is said to be a gateway to somewhere else.
Is there any provenance, like where it was found or purchased or anything?
There is not, in fact. On all of the details of this mirror, it is blank, blank, blank.
And then we'll go back around and look in it.
You look in it again, and as you do, yet again you see those eyes looking back. And they look at you and mimic your movements, but they just continue to look. And eventually you do hear some words, Miss Fairchild, as they simply speak. You're a strange one if you can see me. You're interesting, it seems, Miss Fairchild, is it? I've heard the whispers on the wind, between the glass and mirrors that you speak around and say around. A rather curious one, aren't you?
As are you.
I would suggest that in the future you leave Delilah to her fate, lest yours be mixed up within it.
I don't fear fate.
You should.
I should do a lot of things.
You should. As should your son, yes?
Oh, the urge to do something really stupid.
Urge granted.
There's a moment there where she's just very, very still. And her eyes kind of flick down to Delilah and then back up. And says, I quite know the feeling. of having an eye plucked out of one's head. Let's see how you do. And he's just going to lift both canes and bring it down on the mirror. Just smash
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Don't go after her, son.
So-
It's not happening.
As
Are
you
we
do that,
unleashing a demon?
could you
I'm real glad
please-
I'm in the other room right about now.
She's never met a demon before. This is interesting. She's used to dead people who just get deader.
The
Well,
Dead
the best-
Get Deader. The sequel to
the
The
best-
Dead.
The best part is the doctor
She makes the dead better. It's her thing.
like smelling salts or something, and hearing this conversation, then all of a sudden canes come up and you're attacking us.
Yes, you've got smelling salts at Delilah. You're beginning to stir. Tilly, what are you doing whilst Miss Fairchild is talking?
Have I cleaned up the glass?
You finished a while back.
Sweet. I would have gone to try and find Magdalena, but if everyone seems to be congregating at the
The mirror.
mirror, I'll just be like watching them all, and then as soon as if I see Miss Fairchild going for her canes, can I try and just lay my hand on her?
Yes, you
A
can.
fist?
As you see Miss Fairchild go for the canes. And
They're always
you-
in her hands, so it's just like, it's more
Yeah,
of
of
a like
course.
she shoves
Yeah,
them out.
the raising though,
Yeah.
like excuse
Oh, yeah.
me, Miss Fairchild. Are you quite all right? You've been having a rather curious conversation with this mirror, and it does say
The
do
door
not
can
tap.
go. And
I have rather
The proprietor
curious
steps through.
conversations with everyone, and it's just going to keep trying to smash the mirror.
at which point,
Yes.
seeing you
Very
raise things,
matter-of-factly.
Mr. Godfrey rushes
Oh my
over and puts
goodness.
himself in front of you. No, please don't touch things. You don't know what you do if you break this.
Do you know what it would do if it was broken?
I've heard you be heavily cursed, miss. A spiritualist came and looked over the items, and they said that it was a gateway to something else, and that if you were to smash it, there'd be two results. Either one, you just fall through, you end up in another place. The place they described as other. I don't understand what that meant entirely, neither did they. The other case would be that you would be heavily cursed.
Right.
Also, smashing mirrors is very bad luck.
I don't believe in luck. But she
I believe
puts the
in-
canes down.
Ownership, and this mirror is mine, and I'd really wish for you not to smash it. This is an
Perhaps there's a
opening-
quiet room for us all to have a little bit of a chat in. Mr. Godfrey.
Yeah,
is-
Yes, I think that might be.
I
he
think
kind
that
of
would be
gestures and goes, very well. There is a small room for some tea. We can go there right now all together. I believe the other guests are about to come in here and have a look around anyway. Thank you for cleaning the glass, Miss Tilly. That is amazing of you. I so appreciate it. It makes my job
Okay.
much easier. How about we go to the other room then?
Let me go and fetch Lady DeVille, and then I will be right with you.
Oh dear, he says
Once
as he
you've
rushes
covered
over to
the
the back
mirror.
as well and looks at the big chicken that's been revealed. It's like, let's just cover you up, Lord Bog, he says, and closes the curtain.
Is there a reason why your Lord Bok is covered?
I don't really find it too polite to keep my golden chicken revealed.
Really?
Oh,
It's quite a showpiece.
I've been told as much, yes.
Lady Berkeley, let me help you up.
And I'll head off
Yes.
to find DeVille.
Thank you.
Miss Fairchild is not leaving the mirror until he covers it up. It's covering
He
up
does.
or breaking.
He brings a sheet off from the side and covers it up. It seems there's one prepared for such things and occasions. There we go. If there's been any problems, that should solve it for now.
And then follow everyone else.
No problem. So Mr. Godfrey worriedly leads you all out. And Magdalena, as you're walking around, you do see that Mr. Godfrey emerges. He opens the curtain. At this point, you see the congregation beginning to sort of file into that area of the magic area, the occult area. And as you've been taking around some strange sculptures, of course, the foons and many other things that are very strange that you notice. And after you've gone through each of these strange items, at least a few of them, there's many more to see. You see Delilah, Varuk, Tilly, and Fairchild all walking out. Delilah with help from Varuk, with Mr. Godfrey, as he's
I
leading
went to
them.
find. I went to find DeVille rather than.
Yeah, you see her across the side. She's, as you're walking out, she's to your left.
Yeah, I just stroll up to her. Is she with her partner, Archibald?
Mhm.
She gives a polite curtsy.
Yeah, he gives you a smile and a nod back.
Miss
Like-
Griffiths, this is Lord Archibald Berkeley.
Yes, Miss DeVille has said wonderful things about you, Lord Berkeley.
I'm
I'm-
Berkeley, please. I'm not a Berkeley. That's a completely different family.
I do apologise.
This is completely understandable. We get mixed up quite involved. It's delightful to see you, Miss Griffiths.
And you. I'm very sorry to take your enchanting partner away from you, but we have a meeting in the back with the proprietor.
Well, very well.
Lady?
Until later then, Magdalena.
Yes, there's no murderous intent in any of their eyes if they glance over my way, is there?
Do any of you have
Tilly is
murderous
looking
intent?
at you with just a bright, like a soft smile. There's a little bit of worry because of all the events, but she's fine.
Okay.
Miss Fairchild is generally disconcerting, but not specifically murderous.
Yeah, it's not focused on me. She'll be like,
Yeah. no.
yes, thank you, Miss Griffiths. This would be nice.
Oh, but if you could attend to the restroom with me just very quickly. Just before.
You need to, as they say, powder nose?
Yes, powder my nose, thank you.
I got it. Good.
And we'll go to the bathroom very quickly.
Okay, no problem. So you go and find that quite easily. It's just off the side of the meeting room he takes you to. Takes you into a side room. It's a very nice little parlor room, kind of a lounge in a way, and he's got some sofas in there, and some tea is already presented, and little cakes and sandwiches, like finger food is there, and he sits down in one of the chairs, gestures for you all to take a seat, and closes the door behind you, of course. But the bathrooms are off the side there as you enter.
I look to Miss DeVille and to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. I will follow. I'm not walking in front.
And she closes the door, and there's no one in the bathroom, right?
No.
Okay. She very quietly. Miss DeVille.
It's a single person bathroom, but they don't question it.
That's fine.
I pull out like a make as we're going in, like we are going to powder our faces.
Yeah. No, he doesn't question it.
No, I make some space for next to her, so that I'm assuming there's like a sink and a mirror, and she pulls out some things from her bag, and very, very quietly, so that they can't hear outside. There's some rather interesting things been said about you tonight, Miss DeVille.
Really? Like what?
That you're a vampire.
Excuse me?
Miss
That
DeVille.
is ridiculous.
I just look at her. Miss DeVille, I'm not an idiot.
I never said you were one.
No, but you do not need to have this facade with me. Your hand healed rather quickly, did it not? And Mr. Gremore should really be rather more careful about what he says about polite company, in polite company. I want to make it plain to you, Miss DeVille. I have nothing against you. Many things could kill me, you being one of them. If I hated everything that could kill me, well, I would just stay locked inside all day, would I not?
Well, I should let you know I am not a vampire.
No, do tell.
I just have vampire blood.
I didn't know they could procreate.
It's pretty amazing. I've heard it's a miracle practically.
I see. Well, I believe that maybe you should be a little bit more honest with the group about what you are, as it will come up in conversation, no doubt. And
It's actually
did you start this trend?
Stop. What trend?
The cats with human faces. It's been going on for over 400 years, Miss DeVille. Was that you?
It's a good joke. But really, you should not tell anyone, please. Do not tell anyone. It is big
I
secret.
assure you, Miss DeVille, I will not tell anyone. But I'm saying that you may want to be forthcoming with those who we're going to be working with closely over the year. You're going to keep some odd hours, are you not?
Ah, no, I have no problems in the daytime.
You don't. Excellent.
No, I am not vampire. I just have vampire blood in veins from family member.
And your lovely Miss Irene.
My my servant?
Yes.
What
She
about
looks
her?
Is there like slight panic?
Is she
Just
too? Is she too like you? Or is she
She's
full?
very, very similar to me. Yes.
So she's a vampire. Wonderful.
I am not vampire.
No, you said you were a vampire, right? Half.
Dampier is proper
Vampire.
word. Yeah.
Sorry, not heard the term before.
It's DHAM English PIR.
Yes.
But don't tell
But you said
us
she's like you, but not quite, so I assume full-blooded.
It's how astute.
Yes, that is my job, Miss DeVille. Excellent. Well, rest assured, I'd ask that you not eat me, but...
Oh no,
I'm sure-
I mean, Mr. Gremore also asked that, so I of course would acquiesce to his wishes. Though she looks like she's seriously considering it right now, having just...
Yeah, in the mirror, she just flicks her eyes over and gives you a very polite smile.
Like I imagine,
you
like...
Your partner
bits of her
knows, or is he just a food source for you?
He is... That's very private, asking questions, but he is aware.
Right. I
He's
see.
the only person aware besides Irene, and now you.
Miss DeVille, it is my job to know these things. Don't worry.
I'm sure.
Better keep that dagger away from me then. Excellent.
Yes,
She finishes covering her nose.
I was not expecting anything like that here tonight. It was, you could say it got my heart racing to an average heartbeat.
Oh, and one the average human being only blinks from around 15 to 20 times a minute. You tend to blink 2 times a minute. You might want to work on that. I don't know if anyone's pointed to that before.
No, they have not pointed out my lack of blinking. That is,
Probably
I
need to blink.
will endeavor to do it more often. How many times a minute?
15 to 20. Don't
That's enough.
worry
That's a lot. That is a very lot of blinking.
Yes. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. Just a little thing for blending in, you know?
Of course, that is why I have respirator. Yes. Let's go.
Meanwhile, in the other room, you've all been sat there with, of course, the Mr. Godfrey, who's been offering you little sandwiches and little bits of tea and things like that until your friends came back. It takes a bit. They take about 5 minutes, but they do come back out.
Magdalena looks like she ate like a lemon or something. She's got a sour expression on her face when she comes out.
Are you quite all right, Miss Magdalena?
Lovely. Thank
It
you
is
for
not every
asking.
day. Yes.
Are you well? You fell on the floor.
Yes. I do apologize for my behavior. Teddy is now 2, and almost 3, and sometimes he doesn't sleep the night. I don't sleep much these days. I'm afraid it's taken an appalling effect on my health, and, well, my mind has been playing tricks on me. I do apologize.
Oh no, I had a concern.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
Mr. Let me just check my notes. There's been a lot
Godfrey.
going on today. Mr. Godfrey.
Yes, of course. Yes, what can I do for you?
Actually, I looked at Miss Fairchild. LG?
Quite.
Great. Excellent. Mr. Lucifer Gremore sent us.
Oh, he pales immediately as you say that name.
I just give him a little smile because his discomfort is making me feel more comfortable. So,
All right. Why?
Nothing of the sort.
Sandwiches are just disappearing. With no
My,
one seeing
yes, sir.
anything.
No. He curiously, he asked us to help you. He has quite a vested interest in this place, you see.
I'm sure he does, yes. Help me. He said, help me.
He said help you.
He said to solve your problem.
That he did.
what is your problem?
I'm sorry? He's looking at you.
You just said that you're here to solve your problem. What is your problem?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were. being more direct than that, okay. My problem, I have many problems. But I believe the ones he may be specifically speaking about is it's complicated. But you've been in the room. You've seen the missing items.
Yes.
We've seen the spaces where they should be, yes.
They were stolen, you see.
dear.
How tragic.
Not too long ago, only a night or two before now, but I worry. The items in question are rather strong, and whilst I had guards in place, they were not in the best state in the morning. Dead.
How so?
Right.
Yes, how
This is one
dead?
of those.
Very dead.
No, like how did they dead? How die? How did they die?
They were. Well, that's a strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
The coroners who checked them said that they seemed to have had a heart attack. But they were otherwise unharmed. No marks, no anything, apparently. And it is of the most importance that we get these items back. It is in our mutual acquaintances' interest to keep the items here.
Excellent.
Are they cursed like the rest of them?
That depends on your definition of a curse, miss.
Special and
They are special.
perhaps can cause,
Yes.
heart attacks.
Dangerous.
None that I could know of such things
The
for them.
operative word.
Dangerous indeed.
Perhaps you could tell us more about these items so if we encounter, we know how to handle safely.
Or perhaps what they look like would be a good start as well.
They are very specific, but I believe that they may have been traded out to other peoples. I would suggest if we do this, that I give you each individually, one by one. That way I can give you a full file on them, everything I have, and I can prepare the rest when you come back next, but it needs to be worked on immediately. There are 3 items in question: the Mask of the Tortured Heart, the Dagger of Eternal Bliss, and the All-Seeing Crown, as we call them. They have other names, of course, but they are marketable.
My assessment of you as foolish is gaining weight by the second.
Ooh.
And yet it wasn't me who was trying to smash a mirror that would have cursed you. But very well, Miss Fairchild.
I don't like
We all
being
have our
spoken
flaws.
to
Oh,
in such a manner
breaking mirrors
by
is very
inanimate
bad luck.
objects.
I would not do it.
Mirrors in general, bad luck. But. Sorry.
Maybe I would suggest maybe putting things in metal cages before letting the public loose. Telling people not to touch
considering
things
it.
that they really want to touch, and then letting pretty much no barriers in the way. Well, there is going to be some kerfuffle, is there not?
Very well. I'll make note of it.
Yes.
Yes, I will. I will attempt to get some contracted work on such things.
The bodies, do you either have them or do you have the coroner's report?
No, I don't have either. I believe the police have it.
Right. I see.
The constabulary wouldn't give me the report or other details. They just told me that they're reported. Not one of the local ones, actually. I believe it's Whitechapel's. Whitechapel's men.
Right.
They were apparently had an interest in the area already. They've been having some strange goings on with themselves, I've heard.
Yeah, yes. Well, if you bring artifacts with great power into the city, you could stir up some things.
Yes,
Funny, really, I never believed in any of this tonight.
many
How
people don't.
fortunate.
That belief is part of what some would say makes some of it less effective, you see.
Yes.
There is belief, and then there is knowledge.
Indeed there is, Miss Fairchild, he says and smiles. I agree with that completely.
Do you have a library of such things?
I have books.
I might, actually. My husband, he keeps quite an He keeps quite a collection of books, of all sorts of curiosities. It is he who actually has the majority interest in the occult and the like. I read for other reasons. He likes very many things. There's everything from science to theology to all the other ologies that he reads about.
He's a man of many ologies.
Indeed.
Well, I wouldn't want to be forward,
Ologiologist.
Lady Berkeley, but perhaps the use of your library would be most appreciated.
Well, you're invited for tea. You'll be receiving your invitation once you get home, no doubt. We can talk about my private matters with you, and you may look into my library. Well, my husband's, but
Yes,
he should be fine with it.
right. So, we have a coroner's report to attain. And do you have any witnesses in the area who perhaps saw someone entering or leaving that night? Don't choke on your tea, Mr. Berkeley. I'll give you all the time you need.
Oh, it seems I'm
Yes.
dying.
Oh,
Oh no!
So sugar lumps.
Oh dear, oh dear. That was most unfortunate, it seems. It is all of these ologies being thrown around, it seems. They are really doing things to my lungs. Too many ologies.
They
are
are
not good for them.
indeed.
It's quite
Concrete
different.
information will do that to a
Yes.
spiritualist.
Indeed. Whew. Well, aside from the death trying to catch me, I have some books, but if Miss Delilah has many more, maybe it's good to follow that up.
I mean, collection of
Yes.
resources is always best. But
Indeed it
witnesses.
is.
Any in the
Witnesses,
area?
yes. There were no witnesses to it. Only the guards who are all dead.
Who found the bodies?
Perhaps some people saw them. That would be me in the morning. I came in, and they were dead. Luckily, the back vaults weren't entered, so that helps.
Yes.
What is in the back vaults?
Things that should not be out on public, things more dangerous, or things less dangerous but more
Everything you
boring.
have in that room should not be out in the public. So.
Indeed, you could say that.
I mean, the teddy
you.
bear
I
is quite
could
nice.
agree, but they are meant to be
Teddy
cycled.
bear?
Yes, it's quite a lonely looking thing in the corner.
Oh, yes, of course. No, that's a delightful artifact. We call it the Care Bear. It's a delightful thing, a small bear, and it gives out so much care.
Does
It's
it
said
happen
that-
to pick people up from the bottom of the stairs, put them to bed, and then make them tea and jam on toast in the morning?
No, I think what you're looking for there is of course, a partner, Miss Tilly.
Oh, I see. Right.
Servant.
Good at those things.
Noted.
that-
Yes.
No, it calms people if they are under immense pain or if they are in emotional pain. Holding it reduces those symptoms.
Do you
It was
think
said
I
to be-
might hold the bear?
I can allow you to touch the bear, yes. It's one of the
Thank
things that
you.
people are allowed to. There are other good things in the back, but as I said, they have a very strict cycle.
Of course. Right. So we have witnesses to question outside.
Possibly. I mean, I imagine some of the locals may have seen something, or perhaps some of the late night people. Happened very early in the morning, perhaps some drunks.
Yes. What time exactly do you think this happened?
I don't know. If I
Very
was to
early?
guess, I would say probably in the early morning, 2, 3 a.m. perhaps. For light, but after, of course, most of the carousing was done with for the night for those outside.
Excellent. And you seemed rather uncomfortable with the mention of Mr. Gremore. Your relationship not friendly?
It's friendly. Very friendly, yes. It is friendly. Just... I have things to make up for. A few
He's not a man to take
minor
the word
things
no.
broken.
So I understand. Right.
Yes, well,
Anyone else have any questions?
No.
I do,
There's files within
actually.
this.
What did all
Yes?
of you... What did he offer you? What was your deal? Your contract?
What's your deal?
Private.
Cannot speak of it.
Ah,
It is not for disclosure.
If
You
you
took the words
you
out
tell
of
you-
my mouth, sir.
tell your wish, it will not come true.
yes. And I
Exactly
point
that,
at Dr.
Mr.
Verrett
Verrett.
like, he's got it.
Yes, that's you know what, you're probably all right. Sorry I asked.
Rest assured, Mr. Gremore pulled on some very personal things for all of us, as I'm sure you're well acquainted with, are you not?
Yes, Miss Griffith.
Yes, quite. So, do not worry. I think all of our best interests are at heart as we investigate this for you. I'm quite eager to get started.
Of course, that would be amazing. Which one would you like to have information on first? I can get you what I have, and I can give you its case. It will
Oh, all of
contain the
them.
item. I would prefer one at a time. Only that's a lot of information to give out at once, Miss Tilly.
Which one's the most dangerous?
Oh, by far the Mask of the Tortured Heart.
Right then, that one first.
I
Right,
have a
quite
less
certain we get that one back
sensationalist
first.
name.
Right.
It does. It sounds like it would be a really fun one for a ball.
I like it.
All right. I will get you the information. Have you got a notebook?
Oh, she taps her head.
I imagine she has several.
Okay. The Mask of the Tortured Heart, as it's known, is from, well, we don't quite know in time where it was created, but I've heard it's from, it's within France, I believe. It was made there as a way for a cult of worshippers in a specific entity. I cannot quite recall what the entity is. I didn't get much information on that. But what it did is it was able to see into people's deepest and darkest desires and in some manner make them engage in them, make them pursue those things. If, for example, Miss Magdalena had a deep desire that she wished to murder, the mask, upon a look, would draw her and compel her to do so. Despite her moral qualms, there would be no such thing. And once the act is committed, the deal is sealed. The one who had succumbed to such desires would be compelled to continue. They would need to do so to
dear.
survive.
What would happen if they rejected it?
There is little on it that I have currently. But from what I remember, if they rejected such desires, ordinarily they would, I believe, die.
Of a heart attack?
Possibly.
Oh.
Quite possibly. That's a
Maybe.
good point. There's not much on it. You know how these things are. A lot of lore of these sorts of Curios is very much a sort of, this happens and it's big and spooky and then nothing can cure it. I'm sure there is a way, but I don't personally know of one aside from sealing the mask away, removing it from the owner. But if the owner has... There was one thing. If the owner has continued to use it, it can almost bind to them, like a second skin upon their face. Almost unseeable.
And there's no way to remove that. Besides cutting off the face, of course.
I believe cutting off the face.
Right.
Oh dear.
I'm very sorry, not quite words
Oh,
for
yes. Polite company. We should not talk about such things. I take a sip of tea.
No,
There are very
ordinarily.
few sandwiches left.
And blink.
You're just nodding or like, yes, kind of.
If I had one of those
Miss
sandwiches,
Fairchild was like, hoovered it up.
monopolize them away from you, I'm just a little bit peckish.
Some of them just disappear about her person.
Quite remarkable. And she just plucks one of the sandwiches. So, a mask that makes you compelled to do your deepest, darkest desires, then makes a deal with you. Sounds quite Satan-like to me.
Well, I mean, in a way, I guess you could say it is satanic, demonic in some manner, or whatever this thing is that they so worship. But I can't quite recall. Maybe there might be more on it, but I have the information I'm given when I'm given the item
From Mr. Gremore.
from his contacts.
Who are his contacts?
Very secret, but they deliver things, and they take things away.
How do you know this is not just a job where they've took them away?
Because,
Besides the dead
Because
bodies.
people die?
Yes, but
because
you
Miss
know.
Griffith, there must always be something in its place.
Oh, and also Mr. Gremore asked us to look for stuff. I think he would know. If
Yeah, but sometimes
be a cruel
contacts
joke.
turn against you. That's the wonderful thing about having friends. They are quite backstabby.
something.
Indeed, they are.
Someone might have given it
Something
over,
tells me, Mr.
and the
Gremore,
contact might have wanted to strike and take it. You never know.
that is true.
You were saying, Miss Berkeley?
I was saying that I believe Mr. Gremore seems to be a man of his word. There are many times that I've seen insincerity, but twist as they may, I don't think he lies.
He
Not
isn't
fully.
insincere, I can tell you that much. He's very direct with what he wants, and when he makes his contracts, they are very direct.
Indeed.
His deals are very to the letter kept, or else you break it.
How reassuring.
Oh, excellent. Medical coverage for all of us then. Wonderful.
You know what? He just looks confused, but then kind of shakes his head.
It is
I'll send
part
over
of
some
their
information
contract.
about the items to a house soon. Whose house should I send that to? I will get something written up, scribed correctly, and sent.
If you would all like to attend to my manor, we could just have it sent to my place. Maybe we can all have some tea and some more cakes. I do love like some white cakes recently. It has been my downfall. Oh, my waistline.
Well, I'm happy to expand my waistline with your cakes, Miss Berkeley. They are wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank
the honor
you.
to
I've
accept the
gotten some
invitation. No.
Delightful. I'd be happy to have you both. And the rest of you, Miss Dill and Dr. Verrucht.
I would love to come to your house for cakes. It would be delightful to read books and look into this matter further.
Yes.
I would very much like to talk to your husband. And so, yes, I accept your invitation.
He's busy at the moment.
Well, then your company will do.
Thank you, Doctor.
When Delilah says that, Miss Fairchild's just staring at her. She knows Lord Berkeley's first name, and she very distinctly heard her telling a guy in a mirror
Oh,
to
yes.
run. It's like, okay. Just looking
Well,
up
if that is
there.
all in agreement, then I can get the details sent over to you immediately. So that should be fine. Yes, that should be great, in fact.
Yes.
And
Well, thank you very
Dr.
much for attending. I appreciate this greatly. This is thank you. I cannot thank you enough for being here to help.
I'd like to read him at this point.
Sure. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for whether he now, revealing our alliances, actually trusts us, or is just being polite for the sake of it. Like, is he being genuine? And that is just a wit.
Just a wit.
That is a 19.
Okay. As you look over him, he seems to be genuinely grateful. He seems incredibly surprised, though. And overall, he seems to be relieved, heavily relieved. Like, you can tell that he's not been sleeping. Bags under his eyes are a telltale sign. He's been awake the entire time, either preparing this or dealing with the robbery. It seems he's a bit frustrated, as it seems that the constabulary haven't really done anything about it. They've just kind of gone, well, it's gone, and left. And he seems to be very troubled, like he seems afraid, like very afraid of something. And not getting them back seems to be that something.
Okay. Magdalena will just kind of, as we're probably getting ready to leave, she'll stand up, set the empty teacup down. Thank you for the tea and
No problem.
the prominent place which you have displayed my artwork.
It is beautiful. Absolutely. If there's any other pieces you make, let me know. I will gladly hang them up wherever you wish.
Of course. I will let you know. Is there any requests?
Well, a portrait would be good sometime.
I see what I can do.
That'd be amazing. Yes, I have some older portraits, actually. I may have some. I could talk to you in private after this, if that is possible, and we can talk commission.
Certainly.
Brilliant. As for the rest of you, please enjoy the rest of the food's gone. All right. Enjoy the rest of the festivities outside, and please enjoy your stay here. I apologize for the troubles you've had. I will keep it in mind in the future and continue to try and find better ways to contain such things. But the opening otherwise seems to have gone well. The rest of the guests have very much had fun. And of course, yes, you can, if you wish, Miss Delilah, or any of you that wish, you may go and see the Bear of Care.
I might say goodbye on the way out.
Okay. And if you have looked upon my golden chicken, Lord Buck, as he is known, please do say the prayer to Lord Buck on your way out.
What is prayer?
Good luck.
Oh, it's good luck. We must all say prayers.
It is, yes.
It's Lord Buck, the chicken,
Lord
not
Buck, like a chicken.
any other deity.
I don't think it's of any other deity, but I heard that he is very much in good standing with God, the Catholic God.
Yes, that one.
Is it a chicken saint?
Chicken.
Yeah, something of the sort. I've heard it was the first ever chicken made in the Garden of Eden. And that's what the story
That
goes.
that is very interesting. Well, it cannot hurt to entertain a superstition. We've entertained so many today.
Yes, of course. And there's long stories.
Superstition for a reason. You should always do what they say.
Indeed.
Yes. Exactly. And it's said that if you do, you are very much meant to be gifted with plentiful chicken and egg, apparently. Not that that will matter. There's hardly anything like that around here right now. But the prayer itself is rather simple. Any words will be fine. Just speak with sincerity of the heart. And of course, make sure to say Buck. And he is known as his almighty clockiness.
His almighty cluckiness.
Cluckiness. Cluckiness. Pluckiness.
Is this an English term?
No, it is a term of Lord Buck. Lord Buck is a powerful individual, very kind at heart. It is good luck.
You could say he is powerful.
He is indeed powerful. I'm going to probably add that to the plaque. Powerful. Right. Yeah, he closes his book that he's got. He's got like a little personal diary that he then slips back in his pocket. All right, powerful. I like it.
Well, with that, I must kindly...
Europeans are very interesting.
Thank you very much, Mr... Oh, so many names.
I should remember my name soon, I'm sure.
I will remember.
Godfrey.
Godfrey.
Mr. Godfrey.
That's a good thing. Miss Lady Berkeley, when would you like us over at your house? Would that be later tonight? Would that be tomorrow? I would not want to show up uninvited.
She looks at her time. It's probably quite late. And then she looks over at Mr. Godfrey. When do you think you'll have the papers ready?
Tomorrow.
Godfrey?
I think I can get that done overnight. I can get some people to work on it. I believe Phineas has a performance to do outside. He's bringing some of his performers
Is
over
that
to
why he
perform.
is here?
Yes, he's here to
Oh.
perform. I thought it would be delightful. His circus is very sought
Sounds-
after, and they're traveling through the area currently, actually.
Oh, that sounds delightful. I might have
Indeed.
to take Teddy. Right. So how about I'll see you for high tea tomorrow, all of you. We can all eat something nice and read.
It's hearty.
Yes, very good. I will see you all then.
It's hearty somewhere in the world.
No! No! Oh, that guy.
And Mr. Godfrey nods, and thank you so much. Well, you enjoy your night. Actually, I'd love to talk to you quickly before we leave. But aside from that,
Yes.
you've all been amazing. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Just thank you.
It's okay, Mr. Godfrey. If you remember anything else about the night, do let us know.
Of course, I will. I'll have all the information to you
Thank
by
you very
tomorrow.
much.
High tea, Miss Delilah's.
And
Yes.
please, Mr. Godfrey, get
Yes.
some rest.
Did any of you need a coach?
I will try, Miss Griffiths. I will try.
Thank you. Lady Berkeley, I will go on foot. We're not too far away.
And the
Thank
rest of you, anyone need a ride?
I'm sure I can find a cab. It's no trouble.
I will take you up on your offer. And as we walk out, Dr. Verrucht will turn his back to Delilah, snatch one of the cakes out of the box, eat it, and then hand the rest of the box to Miss Fairchild. and he looks like this is so nummy and sugary, but he's kind of like he looks like I shouldn't be eating these, and hands them to you.
She kind of fumbles for a moment because canes, but then
Yeah.
recovers and says, "Thank you, Doctor."
You seem to have a high metabolism. You will need these. And he turns and follows Lady Berkeley.
Chris follows.
Okay, so you follow, and as you walk out, you do see Phineas sort of like, again, sort of rousing the crowd and being like, all right, if we go outside soon, we'll make sure that everything's going to go fine. So if you follow me, I've got a brilliant performance in mind. We'll all have a great time, he says, and he begins to lead them out, and they begin to go and lead them into a tent that has been set up outside, and you can hear loud music going on within. And you're left sort of alone in the museum temporarily, aside from Lady Redthorn, who seems to have gone into the back room, into the room of the occult, and is looking around. Her guards are both kind of lining either side of the curtain.
Can we hug the teddy before we leave? Or
You
can
can
I
go in
hug
if
the
you
teddy?
wish.
I wish to hug the teddy.
All right, you go and hug the teddy.
I wish to hug
You walk in
the
and you
Care
find the
Bear.
Bear of Care. It is currently facing the wall. Do you take it?
Yeah, I kind of gently hold it and kind of like gently nuzzle my cheek against it, like.
You immediately feel calmed. You immediately feel centered. All the stress that's been within you for ages is gone. And whilst you're holding this bear, it feels like warmth is filling you, and everything is good with the world.
Aww. She composes herself to keep from crying, and we'll kind of set it down after and be like, thank you. It's almost like Ned is back. And then she'll walk off and go pay her respects to Lord Bach before
Okay. Sure, so you find Lord Bach. What is your prayer?
Please help my husband remain safe and sound in the other realm. Thank you, Lord Bach.
You didn't refer to him by his true title, so unfortunately he won't help you today. But you say your prayer, you feel a bit better.
Fully.
And as you leave, you hear in your mind as you leave. Any of the rest of you are praying before you leave.
I'll shake the bear's hand and then go to pray and then leave.
You shake its hand, and the moment you touch the hand, you're filled with happiness and calmness and joy, and everything feels okay. The ache in the back of your head stops slightly. There's no pain, there's only care and love and warmth and Bear of Care. And it seems lonely as you let it go.
I'm sure we'll be back, she says, and gives it a little pat and goes to pay respects to Almighty Cluckiness.
All right, and what is your speech?
Almighty Cluckiness. I just want us to be safe. It's very dangerous out. Keep us safe, Lord Bok. Bok. And she gives a small curtsy and leaves.
As you give a curtsy, suddenly in your head, your vision swims, and you find yourself in a great white paned room with marble floorings and a great golden chicken that stands upon a throne of bones. As it looks at you,
Oh my God.
it says, "Go with my feathers, my child." And then you appear back in the real world.
Feathers indeed. And she will not stay for the carnival. She is going to go home.
Okay, no problem.
Same.
Any of the rest of you?
I have a date.
Miss Fairchild is going to head out and just pass by the great chicken statue, look up and think to herself, potted pigeon with herbs when I get home. And just walk out.
That's what.
Don't have chicken, so pigeon will do.
Okay, no problem. And Magdalena, you were saying something?
Yes, Magdalena on her way out after she talks with the dude somewhere, and just asks him one more time, just maybe you should chain that dagger down. It seems very dangerous. And then she'll stop by Lord Bok, and she'll be like, "Oh, okay, this is weird. I don't normally do the whole praying thing, but Almighty Cluckiness, please don't smite me. Please help the chicken boy Cooper with these chickens, because he really likes them, and we named him so he will not eat him. So, thank you, Lord Buck, your Cluckiness."
And immediately you're transported to a white marble room with a golden chicken stood upon a throne of bones. And it looks down at you, and in your head you hear, "This Cooper seems to be of good stock, cluck cluck. It seems he will be able to have bountiful chickens, cluck cluck. Go with my feathers, my child." At which point you arrive back in the real world again. Your head sort of swims, but you're back.
And I go latch on to Archie for the rest of the night after all that has happened.
And you and Archie have a lovely evening. And the rest of you, anything else before you leave?
Dr. Varuk,
I will...
go ahead.
No, go on. Go on.
Dr. Varuk comes past and it doesn't give the chicken a thought. What he thinks is about a time where he was in India and there was like a cow statue or something else. And well, he's walking past that and then he was thinking, I have not had enough laudanum to pray to other gods today. And he just passes by his almighty cluckiness without thinking, giving him a thought.
You don't even give the cluckiness a thought as you leave.
Nope.
And
Ooh.
all of you make your way out, calling your evening to an end, and you make your ways home. And tonight, not much happens. It's a remarkably quiet night. But the next day may not be the same, as reports come in of murders that have been committed in Whitechapel. 3 of them.
Oh, no.
Please.
And
No.
with that, we will call the session. So I'm going to open up a vote right now, just before we get on to anything else. So those of you in the audience, you get to vote this week on who gains corruption. So who, in your opinions, has been the most corrupted this session and should gain 1 point of corruption? The poll should now be up in chat. It is. So please throw your votes. Let us know who you think should gain corruption this week. As of course, we've had quite a few things happen within this particular session and the museum. And whilst you're voting on that, and we will see who is going to be the most corrupted in this session, we'll see what people thought. So we'll go around, let us know who you are, what you're working on, and also let us know where we can find you and what your favorite moment is. So we'll go around the same way as earlier. So Delilah.
All right. Hi everyone, I am playing Delilah Berkeley. I am Loria Lark or Lark Loria, whichever way works. And right now I've actually been kind of hit with a bit of like an arts kind of craze, so I've been trying to draw all the party members in one of the private games I'm playing. It's pretty fun. Might be doing a cover later for the Western game I'm in on this other stream. But overall, my favorite moment, I think like if I rank them in the most badass kind of moment was probably with Miss Fairchild just like decided to stab the mirror, which is pretty like I was like, she's pretty metal, and that was amazing. And in terms of favorite like kind of interaction moments, I like that little like ladies go in the bathroom and talk about things that are very like not so polite for company, kind of like, hey, you know, let's just casually.
You're muted, I think? I think you managed to somehow hit mute, Delilah.
Go to
Oh, it's a lot of audio all at once right there. That was weird.
You just hit a lag spike.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah,
had a
you
lag
did.
spike. If you could just say, if you just say that again, sorry. We just had a lag spike.
Okay, which part did you hear me last?
We got to casually.
Yeah.
Yes, so I really liked how the two ladies just kind of casually went to the bathroom and talked about how she was a vampire, and that was really like, it was really cool. It reminds me of like, you know, high school, two girls going to the bathroom talking about their lives. But of course, everyone was super, super lovely as usual. Dr. Rourke was like, as always, super on point. I liked how he just like has stakes everywhere. And just weapons for days out for a casual little going to a museum. Let me just bring an arsenal of weapons.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You
I
know,
like
need
that.
keys,
For
my
sure,
wallet,
for sure.
my steak.
Got everything. All of the friends are here. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for playing. And no, it was really fun to have you as usual. And Magdalena. Laugh Love Lindy.
Yes, this was so much fun. From Magdalena's perspective, this would be called Magdalena's Very Bad Art Opening. She was almost shanked by a vampire murdering dagger. Apparently, Dr. Baruch just has like stakes for days on him, and there's just all this talk. And then Tilly's figured out that she's a dampier, and she's like, "That's not good. This is my secret." It's literally like, "Oh, this is bad." So she didn't have an awful time, but she didn't have a good time. She's probably gonna just like. Because the Bear of Care, she doesn't put much stock into it. She's probably just going to go eat somebody on the way home. Feel
Yeah,
a little
that
better,
sounds fine.
you know. Like, bring some takeout for Irene.
Some takeout.
Takeout. Make a, I just got those cheap Chinese takeout. You know, I stressed. I'm hungry. And yeah, you can find me online at Laugh Love Lindy on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. I play and GM a lot of tabletop RPGs. On my channel, you can find me twice a week, typically Mondays and Tuesday nights. But this Friday the 13th, tomorrow, we have our once a month Aliens Blade Runner mashup game, which you should definitely check out. It's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then next Saturday, not this Saturday, Teenagers from Outer Space, Saturday morning. So check it out. It's going to be lots of awesome stuff. Oh, and this, if you like Hollow and you want more, you can check out a Hollow Tale on Saturday afternoon, because I'm going to be playing in that as well, because I'm an addict. Goodbye.
Brilliant, and always good to have you, Lindy. And definitely come back as well on Saturday on my own channel. I'll tell you about that in a second as well. But we're doing another Unhallowed game there. And Mr. Fairchild, Shakes, how's it going?
It's good. I cannot wait to take this wig off. You do not even know. I've had such a great time. So I am Shakes, also known as Shakespeare. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, same handle. My favorite bit was definitely just Miss Berkeley kind of talking to her husband, just being like, okay, just wait right there, I'll go see if I can find someone. Now I might have found someone, just give me a moment. And him just like, go back. What do you mean you might have something? Yes, I know him. What? It was just the funniest. It comes across as she's like obviously very distraught, but she's like trying to make appointments, and he's just like, just break the thing. I really loved that whole interaction. Like, my reaction to Miss Fairchild's reaction was very different.
Oh, very much so.
Places to find me. You can find me on Hollow's channel on Monday nights, where I play in a Saltmarsh Ravenloft game, which is so much fun. I get to be scared of everything. It's brilliant. Straight after that, I'm over on Welcome to the Party playing a Ravnica game called Dark Knights in District 10, where I'm also quite scared of things. I don't know what that is. And on Tuesdays, you can find me on Penflower Inc.'s channel, where we're playing a Warsleep game, so that's really, really fun. This is really, really great. I want to take the wig off. Oh my god.
I mean, I can't blame you for wanting to take the wig off. This hat is like slowly taking over my head.
The hat went very early on.
Yeah, it's staying at the minute, but my god, I'm taking this off the moment we finish. And right, okay, and thank you for playing, Shakes. And Tilly.
Hey, so I've been playing Tilly Griffiths. I'm Humbledore. Favourite moments? God, there was few. I adored how Miss Fairchild was complete badass to that mirror. It was like, I'm what, mate? Squaring up. Miss DeVille just being like, you have problem? Like,
What is your problem?
What is your problem? Like, any interactions with DeVille are just fantastic, because the whole social awkwardness or like not knowing the etiquette is just perfect. And then the one that made me cry was definitely the Care Bear, because I was like, oh man, everyone needs something so wholesome in their life. So yeah, great session. Can't wait to play again. I've got like 4 or 5 pages of notes to write up, so this is like a full-time job. So yeah, in other words, I'm doing a writing competition on World Anvil. You should go and check that out. The Kayak Challenge. Go and check out people's entries. Got some really cool stuff on there. But otherwise, I'm going to stay pretty quiet. I've got uni starting soon, so I'm going to be exhausted.
Right, and thank you very much for playing. Tilly was good as usual, and Dr. Varukt.
I'm Greybeard of Greybeard's Tavern, and you can find me on Sunday mornings where I play Darkest Dungeon, and I, love my toys. This is, it's what I do. But that's 10 a.m. till noon on Sundays, and then every other week I play over on Game Nights, G Game, and Knights as in Shining Armor and Shield. We play Monster of the Week over there, where I'm another paranoid character. Running from the CIA and monsters, and on Wednesdays I play over on Pro Restarter's channel in a game that's Who We Were or Who We Are, and it's a D&D Ravnica game, but we're playing as children growing up, and we're doing time jumps. The week before, an orphan, we're all orphans, one of the orphans died, and then this week, almost all of us cried on screen. So it was just brutal, and Pro's all about the drama. So check us out over there at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays, and then after that, I'm in Barry's channel playing Saltmarsh, and I think that's it for now. And then here, of course. So love it. Best parts. I mean, everybody's amazing. So it's the insanity of Delilah is nice. The OCD of Tilly is fun. Meeting Miss Fairchild and just oh yes, metal. Very 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 cool. So yeah, and of course I love I'm from the past, but I talk like. I'm from the future bits from I can't say it, Miss DeVille. We're all just a fun bunch of characters, and of course you're bringing it all to us, including Lord Buck, and Cooper would not exist if it weren't for you, so we're not worthy. Thank you, Hollowtail.
No, thank you very much. It's been fun. I mean, chat has been intensely fun today with that immense running canon of Lord Book in the background that they've had going on this entire game.
3 hours of the Great Bock.
3 hours of the Great Bock. Who'd have known what that would be that this session came to, but it's what it is. So as for me, I'm a Hollowtail. You can find me at a Hollowtail on YouTube, so that's youtube.com/Hollowtail. I do tabletop RPG reviews, I do tips and tricks, I do analysis of different systems and lore and all sorts of stuff there. So subscribe there if you want to have more of my content. I also run a Twitch, which has a Unhallowed game, so this kind of a game in the same universe as this, that will be on this Saturday at 5 p.m. UK, 12 p.m. EDT, where we are in our penultimate episodes. We're in the second to last. They're arriving in Sheffield, so that bodes well for them. And yeah, that's looking very fun so far. And aside from that,
Sheffield.
it's amazing. Watch it.
It's on YouTube.
Thank you. And every Monday I also run a weekly game, which is of Saltmarsh with a bit of Ravenloft twists in there, which happens. It might not be on this Monday, we'll have to see, but it will be on the Monday afterwards, and it is on weekly after that. So, but before that, before we close today, just before we do, we have one last order of business to take care of, and that is the judgment of the corruption. So, I'm going to quickly go to our more dramatic screen so I can deliver the message that we all need for this. So as soon as I can do that, that is. Come on. Well, it looks like it can't be dramatic today, unfortunately, as the screen is... Oh, wait. Here we go. You ready for drama? Drama. There we go. Okay, so it seems, everybody, that we have had judgment passed. The Great Bok has judged all of them and only found one of them unworthy. And that one is Dr. Varukt, who will gain a corruption for this session. And with that, I'll pass you over to a trailer for a game that's coming on tomorrow. It's a Judge Dredd game. Check it out. It's awesome. Definitely tune in for that. And I'll run you a trailer, but until next time, beware of the things that go bump in the dark, because they might actually be there. So with that bit of paranoia, I'll call it good night. Thank you, everybody. You're all brilliant. And we'll see you next week, same time. So, until then, goodbye for now.